Hello and welcome to Lost Within Lost, the podcast where we are re-rewatching the 10 highest rated episodes of Lost. My name is Dan and my controversial Lost opinion is that The Constant, while an entertaining piece of television, is not even in the top 10 of Lost episodes. Put that in your pipe and smoke monster it.
Hello, my name is Chris, and Dan, I'm going to need to see that list. Yes, hello, and welcome to Lost Within Lost, the podcast where we rewatch, recap, and review the 10 highest episodes of Lost. This week, we are all about the number 3 as we discuss number 3 on the list. Only 3 more to go, Dan.
Yes.
This week, it is Live Together, Die Alone, parts 1 and 2, obviously. Plus, Dan and I will be nominating our very own number 3 from our personal top 10. Last week, The Constant finally made its first appearance, of the podcast.
Its penultimate appearance.
I was going to say, will we get to talk about it again before the final episode? Not if Dan has anything to do with it.
No.
I did think, is it possible Dan no-shows the final episode just to avoid talking about The Constant?
No, I've got things to say about The Constant.
Okay, good, because we'd also miss out on your number 1, and we need...
Yeah.
We need that answer in our lives. So, and if you want to see the list that we are following, the remaining episodes, you can check them out on the socials.
But yeah, first we have to do a little bit of tidying up.
Yeah, a little bit of previously on Lost Within Lost.
Previously on Lost
Within
Lost.
Dan, I assigned you some homework. Please tell me you've watched some Bluey.
I did watch some Bluey. I watched. You gave me 3 episodes of Bluey to watch.
Yeah, gave you 3 episodes. Yes, yeah. I could have given you 20. Like honestly, such a good show. But yeah. What do we? So what did you watch? Sleepy Time,
Space, and Cricket.
Yes, yeah.
So, first thing I noticed, love the title sequence. It's like, all right, that's Mum, that's Dad, that's Bingo, and that's Bluey.
Bingo.
Got it.
Yep.
I know them all. I know all the main characters. I'm on board with this. So
Yes.
that's
Easy
very
to
helpful to have something where you name your characters right up front.
Yep.
Nice and easy. But yeah, so it's obviously for kids. So I don't have kids that age, which is why I've never seen it, despite the many people saying, "Oh, Bluey, check out Bluey." But so in order of preference, I loved the cricket episode. The cricket episode is good.
It's phenomenal, isn't it?
That's very good. I very much liked the Sleepy Time episode.
Mm-hmm.
I have had children young enough to know the crawling into bed, the maneuvering around the bed, the moving them back into bed, taking their bed. I know all that, so that's familiar.
Yeah.
And I was a bit meh on Space. Space didn't really.
Okay.
So, but
right.
but they were definitely. I could see why it's such a hit with the younglings.
Yes, yeah, and I mean, and that's it. It's a kid show, right? So something like Sleepy Time and the animation and the journey that Bingo goes on and everything. Like my son is watching it and he's just like, "Oh yeah, pretty colors," and I'm like, "This is incredible! Like this is absolutely amazing." And I think I've seen the cricket episode 6 or 7 times now, but it gets me every single time when Rusty high fives himself as he walks out. In the Australian uniform, it just gets you. Good. I'm glad you watched that, and the message too, right? Like, I think for a lot of because it's so popular internationally, trying to explain cricket to countries that are not native cricket is so impossible, right?
It's absolutely impossible. It makes no sense.
It's the best 7-minute explainer on what cricket is.
Yep. There's a cut shot. He's good at the cut shot. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, loves cut shot, can play spin, pace.
Yeah.
But then just ultimately at the end of the day, it's about having fun, when he hits a catch to his sister and then the parents are like, they have that moment as well. Absolutely fantastic. That's also the Blue Wiggle is Rusty's dad. He was the little sort of cameo voice for the episode. There is another episode, could not find it, wanted to share it with you, where the whole episode, Bandit, the dad, is just trying to watch the cricket and the girls are sort of mucking around and he keeps getting distracted. So whenever they show a shot of the TV with the cricket on, it's always just the ball on the grass, a seagull, the two batters talking to them.
Yeah.
It's everything that a person who hates cricket says cricket is.
Yeah.
It's one of the best subtle jokes I've ever seen in anything that every time they show the thing, it's never actually the cricket. It's wonderful. It's really, really clever. So
Very good.
great. All right, glad you could watch some Bluey.
Well, and I did think, speaking of things that potentially make people a little misty-eyed, I did remember another movie that made me cry because it kind of jumped into an algorithm, a YouTube algorithm, I think. It just popped in. And that's Rogue One. I saw Rogue One just a couple of days after Carrie Fisher died. And when it gets to the very final scene of that movie, I was very misty-eyed indeed. It's come on, that's Leia. Come on, what are you doing?
Yeah. I enjoy all of the Star Wars, but I think, and this is our age difference, right? I think, Dan, where of a particular age, you saw those films, you were sort of old enough. Yeah, I've always enjoyed them, but not on on that kind of sort of a deeper level. I really enjoyed Rogue One, and but yeah, that Carrie Fisher hasn't sort of held that place for me, but I totally get it. All right, so shall we jump into?
Well, before we do,
more?
I did do some other homework as well.
Oh, okay.
This one wasn't actually given to me, but you did inspire me to go listen to the What Went Wrong Lost podcast.
Excellent.
So I downloaded that and had a listen. It was mostly stuff I'd heard, like stories I'd heard previously, but it was all gathered together in a very good package.
Yeah.
So it's well worth a listen if you want to know kind of the entire backstory to Lost. It's a great introduction to it.
Yeah. Just a really nice chronological telling of how it came together, and instead of pages and pages of Lostpedia, wiki, whatever, they do a really great job.
Yeah. And finally, we did have the kind of the open question of who lit the black smoke fire in Exodus.
Yes.
And I did ask ChatGPT that one, and it pretty much nailed it. Good work, ChatGPT. It says it was Danielle Rousseau who lit the black smoke signal fire that was seen by the survivors in the season 1 finale, Exodus. Spot on. Well done.
Great. Normally, ChatGPT gives a bit more background, but I see it's like.
Sometimes I edit around it because sometimes it just waffles for a paragraph. It's like, well, in the television show Lost, created by Damon Lindelof and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, it's just showing off.
Yeah.
Like, we know robot, right? Give me the actual hard answer that I can't come up with on my own.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for talking to ChatGPT. I don't have the patience to talk to him. So yeah, we're covering Live Together, Die Alone, parts 1 and 2. This was, of course, the season 2 finale. The IMDb summary goes as follows. After discovering a sailboat just offshore containing Desmond, Jack and Saeed come up with a plan to confront the others. Echo and Locke come to blows as Locke makes a potentially cataclysmic decision regarding the button. And in part 2, Jack, Kate, Sawyer, and Hurley are captured by the others. Michael achieves his goal. Desmond realizes that Locke is wrong about the button. Now, those are pretty standard. I would love to hear some more thrilling reviews.
As usual with the finales, these ones are longer than average, but we'll give this one a crack. All right, so here we go. Live Together, Die Alone, Part 1. Michael's taking the Doc, Kate, Sawyer, and Hurley off to sacrifice to the others. Fortunately, Saeed has a plan. Go along with him, he advises the Doc. Pretend you trust him. Give him a gun without bullets, or bullets without a gun, your choice. Meanwhile, I will commandeer the yacht that has drifted back to shore with that no-hoper from the opening 3 episodes of this season on board. I will force the seaworthy Koreans to sail me around the island past a statue with 4 toes, where I will build a fire that will emit black smoke. You 5 must then join me at this fire, where we will launch our surprise attack on the others and murder the living snot out of them and their cattle. Hold on a sec, says the Doc. I'll just get a pen. Meanwhile, Locke has locked himself in the hatch, where he plans to let the doomsday counter count down to 0. Echo knows that in a world-threatening crisis, you should always rely on hobbits to save you. So he boldly enlists the aid of Charlie to save the day and stop Locke. Oh, Echo, you need to learn how to distinguish between Academy Award-winning fiction and Emmy-snubbed reality. So that's part 1.
Wow, great.
Part 2. Live Together, Die Alone, Part 2. It's the season finale, and Locke has decided to celebrate it by letting the numbers count down to zero to, see what happens. The previous hatch guy, Desmond, doesn't think this is one of Locke's greatest ideas, given that he's worked out last time somebody, e.g. him, didn't type in the numbers, it caused the plane everybody was on to crash. Does this deter Locke? Don't be stupid. Echo also disapproves of Locke's behaviour, but for different reasons. If things are going to go massively awry, he wants to be an integral part of it. So he lets off some spare dynamite. He enlists Charlie's help in this, so you know it just ends in a colossal fucking shambles. Anyway, numbers aren't typed, there's electromagnetic madness and blinding white light everywhere, people start speaking in tongues, a two-headed goat is born, etc., until Desmond blows himself up to save the day. Elsewhere, the Doc, Kate and Sawyer are left blindfolded and captured with the suddenly blow-dart-wielding others, while Michael, having had a gutful of the show, rides off in a boat with his son. But fret not, gentle viewers, for his departure is compensated by the arrival of a pair of Siberians? Look, I don't know. We'll try and sort it out all again next season.
Yeah, well done. Very good. Very
Yes.
good. Yeah, you covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, and the thing I noticed about this when I went back to read it now was that it references, I made a joke about the Emmy snubbing. So they didn't get any Emmy nominations in season 2. And I did some quick research on this. The Emmys were announced on the 8th of July, 2006. And that's when Lost was snubbed. And the show aired in Australia in August 2006, or this finale aired, which suggests I was watching it on Channel 7 at the time. I wasn't watching this early because I wouldn't have known about the being snubbed for the Emmys. So I wasn't jumping the gun. I was watching it legit on free to air. So evidence, you can't come for me, Channel 7.
Good for you. I have got an awards update based on the
I knew
season.
you would.
Yeah, you're right. Not much love in this second season, which is, I think, one of the most cohesive. Like, this is where they really nail the balance between just a weekly drama, characters in, like a status quo with based on where they're living, and then mystery and craziness, and then the backstories. Some of them are absolutely brilliant. I think this is a really incredible season, like uninterrupted, fully committed, really good stuff. So yeah, you mentioned the August 3rd air date in Australia. They did split it into 2 weeks. In the US, they got it all as a big movie length finale on the 24th of May. We had to wait until the 3rd and the 10th of August.
And I did.
And you did, yes, like a very like a very good boy. I definitely received it in a clump along with a bunch of other files. I think I was watching it in bursts. I'd get about 6 episodes, and then I'd get another 6 episodes, and then I'd catch it on 7 on it. Maybe I'm just flicking around and be like, oh, good, I'll rewatch, this scene or that scene.
So you ended binging very early.
Yeah, and I will. I've got some stories on that later on as well. The dam wall kind of breaks around here. This episode has an IMDb rating of 9.4, which makes it 3rd in our list. Audience of 17.84 million watched this episode in the US.
Yep.
And in Australia, I've got a little bit of a deep dive, if you'll indulge me.
Yep, hit me.
Dan, if you'd like to learn. So the Lost aired at 8:30, right? We're still fully committed, 1.6 million. So once you add in your sort of regional viewers there, we're still...
that's pretty good.
Yep, we're still doing we're trending above our 10%. What other big US comedy did they slot in just half an hour before Lost? What was the big 2005 comedy that Channel 7 gave us?
Let's go 2.5 Men. No, that was 9, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, we're on Channel 7. 1.8 million viewers, right? So more people tuned in for My Name is Earl. It's big.
I would never have guessed that one.
Yeah, I loved that show. So that debuted in the US in like September 2005. It was late to come to Australia, which had meant that I'd pretty much seen it. So I had a friend who he was a shift worker, and he had really great internet, and come like pilot season and everything, he'd just download, everything would just be there, right?
Yeah.
And he would comb through it, and with the internet, the world is suddenly smaller. So which shows are getting a reaction in the US, which ones you hit, you might be reading a blog or whatever and go,
Yep.
this is actually a really funny show, a really great show. And then you'd be like, yeah, check this out. This is, My Name is Earl. And
Mm.
we were back then big fans of the kind of Kevin Smith universe. So Jason Lee having his own show and Ethan Suplee, that was kind of bit. So we're like, oh yeah, we're going to get into that. And so I'd sort of seen a whole bunch of the first season before it made it, and I was at work in my job in advertising, and I don't know how else to tell this story without sounding like a dick. So I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to judge me for
We'll
it.
brace ourselves.
Yeah, but we're in the boardroom, and Channel 7 there, the suits are there, and they brought the pizza, and they're like, they come to show us some more of exciting television that was going to be hitting our screens. And I'd been there for less than a year, right? But everything they're showing us, I'm like, yep, seen that, seen that. Because yeah, and yes, the layman, the average person is still just tuning into whatever's on, and they can't just start showing things at the same pace as
Yeah.
the US, right? Audiences are still very much in a habit. But I was able to say, yeah, yep, seen that. That one's pretty good. And I think it might have been Ugly Betty or something else that was coming along. And I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
no, yeah, that one's good too. So then, we had our pizza, we watched a bunch of previews, and then one of the higher ups turned to me and said, well, Chris, we're gonna let you watch something. What should we watch? I was like, put My Name is Earl on. It's only half an hour. Everyone will enjoy it. It's pretty good.
Fantastic.
And we did. We watched it. And so so I've got a little soft spot for My Name is Earl. So yeah, 1.8 million people, Aussies tuned
that's
in.
a lot of Australians watching it.
Yeah. And then 200,000 of them went somewhere else when Lost came on. Probably went over to Channel 9 when, as you said earlier, Two and a Half Men is on.
Right.
Now, what era of Two and a Half Men do you think this would be? This would have to be classic.
It's got to be close. Charlie Sheen's still there, surely. He hasn't. Has he gone off? He hasn't gone off the deep end yet. This must be very early on. He doesn't go off the deep end until 2010 or something, does he?
Yeah, I think so. Were you much of a Two and a Half Men
No,
guy?
no. Saw the ads. That was more than enough for me. I don't think I ever watched an episode of it.
Are you sure, Dan? Because I'm holding up another.
That doesn't mean no. I parodied many things I never watched.
I've got another copy of Mad Magazine that I went digging around for. Do you want to know how I found this, Dan?
Yeah, tell me.
There is zero trace of Dan Liebke, Mad Magazine contributor online, but there was so in this one, which we will post, the artwork is incredible in this parody, created by Anton Emden, and I found his blog where he shared the art that he'd done for this.
Wow.
Where he credited Dan Liebke as the writer, but he did not include the text. So it's just the imagery. So this is all I had to go by. and I knew that it was issue number 467. So I tracked down a copy from eBay, had it sent, and then once I knew that 467 was a Dan Liebke special, I had an area to work with, right? I had I had a buffer. And so I went shopping.
Oh God, how many have you got?
I've got a bunch. And I got myself a Mad Magazine Lucky Dip because they sealed up all of the copies, right? So I had to buy them on number alone without knowing if there was any Dan Liebke goodness inside of them.
I can tell you that I'm not in every issue. Like I was freelance. So I might have been in every other one, maybe around that era, but
yeah,
maybe 2 out of 3, but I don't know. So there's no guarantee.
Yeah, no, I did discover that, and we will over the last couple of weeks, we will go over my haul. I did pretty well. I think I grabbed 6 editions, and I reckon I'm shooting at about 50%. So
Okay, yeah, that's it.
more good Dan Liebke Mad Magazine goodness to come. But this was, I'll quickly read this out, right? So Charlie Sheen is now officially off the show, Two and a Half Men, and taking his place is Demi Moore's love child, Ashton. but there were others who applied for and the well sought after role. And Mad Magazine happens to have the audition tapes for Two and a Half Men, the rejected wannabe auditions.
Oh,
So
okay. I have no memory
this
of this
is
either.
no. Okay, so this is Donald Trump, Woody Allen, Stephen
Donald Trump,
Hawking.
really?
Yeah, there's some Trump in here. Stephen Hawking, SpongeBob SquarePants, Chris Lilly, very of the time, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. These are their audition tapes
Wow.
for to replace Charlie Sheen. I'll read the Trump one because it's
Oh,
quite
God.
funny. It says reason for rejection. Halfway through the audition, he went ballistic, firing and or demanding birth certificates. Very political. From everybody involved in the casting process, including the director, his fellow actors, and a courier who had wandered in to take back John Cryer's Emmy. Very biting stuff.
Oh, yeah. Man.
I won't read Woody Allen one. That might get you cancelled. I will. We'll read the Chris Lilly one. Reason for rejection: after shoehorning in Jemay, Gran, S Mouse, Mr. G, Jonah, Daniel, and Nathan, there was no room left for the original cast. Also, nobody wanted to be on a show called 12 and a Half Chris Lillys. And I think that's true.
Yeah.
True today. So there will be more to come from the Dan Liebke Mad
Fantastic.
Magazine files.
Well, one of the reasons you might have difficulty tracking, or you might have had difficulties tracking them down, you've solved the puzzle now. But the editors are mad. God bless them. They could never spell my surname correctly. So I used to joke that they get the E and the I around the wrong way.
Right.
So I used to joke that was just my pen name for Mad Magazine, was my real name but with misspelled.
Yeah. If you do Google Dan Liebke Mad Magazine, there's a registry, I think, where they're trying to capture anybody who's ever worked on any aspect of it anywhere. And it says Dan Liebke wrote for Mad Magazine Brazil. If you have a photo, please send, which is either a fantastic mad bit or they've genuinely got their wires crossed.
Well, sometimes they did republish pieces from other countries elsewhere. So maybe they took something from the Australian Mad and republished it in Brazil. If so, I want to know where my money is, because I don't think I got paid for that.
See if we can try. If anyone from Brazil is listening, please get down to your local comic book store. Okay, where were we?
I don't know where we were.
Thursday, the 3rd of August at 8:30 p.m. Lost is on Channel 7, Channel 9, Two and a Half Men, followed by The New Adventures of Old Christine. Over on Channel 10, they've got Medium going. They've always Medium at this time of year. And then over on SBS, the most SBS show, I know I say this every week, but this is honestly the most SBS thing I've ever read. They aired a documentary. It was called Penicillin, the Magic Bullet. 478,000 Australians tuning in for
bless them.
Penicillin, the Magic Bullet. Now, I wanted to do something different this week, and I thought, why not? Let's dig through some Foxtel, because maybe there was some first run activity.
Yep.
So I threw Comedy Channel and Fox 8 into the special box where I'm not allowed to say where I know all this information. But Comedy Channel was running Jumoan and The Adventures of Lano and Woodley. So I think they were ABC creations. I think Lano and Woodley was an ABC creation, but sometimes things would be funded, in part. So maybe 9,000 people watching Jumoan and Lano and Woodley. Over on Fox 8, it was Rockstar Supernova. So we actually did get some first run programming. I don't know if you remember this format. It was another reality contest where 15 contestants were competing to become the lead vocalist of like a new band. No, because I think they did do that one, didn't they? No, this would be a super group with Tommy Lee from Motley Crue, and then a dude from Metallica and a dude from Guns N' Roses.
Right.
And they would call the new group Supernova.
Yeah.
However, they were sued by a group that was already called Supernova, and so therefore they had to call themselves Rockstar Supernova, which instant fail.
Yeah.
But I remember this. It gained a little bit of traction because a Melbourne-based guy by the name of Toby Rand came in third place.
Oh,
So
could be.
he went really far because this was in America. I think they shot the whole
Mm.
thing in Vegas or something. So he did really, really well and went on to form the group Duke Cartel. So I don't that something in the back of my far back left corner of my brain went, yep, I know that. I don't know, I know nothing about it, but it just kind of sent me back to a specific time and place in sort of 2006. Um, do you want me to keep going down the rabbit hole, Dan?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Let's go. Okay. So
I may well have written a parody of Rockstar Supernova for Mad Magazine and completely forgotten about it.
uh, so yeah, old mate Toby comes in third place in 2006. He forms Duke Cartel in 2000, early 2007. They tour the US and Canada with Rockstar Supernova. So
Yep.
they, like, you know what? You've
The
got your
undercard.
band.
Yep.
Yeah, let's go. By late 2007, Duke Cartel did a number of gigs in their hometown of Melbourne, including a performance at the Ferntree Gully Hotel in Melbourne's eastern suburbs, alongside Australian band Noiseworks. But it does say here that it was declared a sellout. So by late 2007, they were selling out the Ferntree Gully Hotel.
Wow.
Not not really sure much happened after that. I think that was the end of their run. Now, the following Thursday, pretty much exactly the same. Everything, everything as it was. So my name is Earl loses
So they
300,000 viewers.
repeated the penicillin show?
No, I think they dropped in another documentary. I didn't. It was about it was a Holocaust documentary.
Oh, God, okay.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's a really interesting title. We're looking for, and I was like, oh wow, that looks really like powerful.
Full on.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, my name is Earl. Dropped 300,000 viewers. But Lost did pick up. We're up to 1.8 million for that, the very last episode of the second season.
All right. Good work. Good work, Lost.
Yeah, yeah,
And good work, Australian viewers.
yeah. Look, hey, we were behind it. Is it the Australians' fault or is it the show's fault for eventually falling off a cliff?
Can't be Australians' fault.
No, we really were on the verge of choose your own adventure, right? When it come to genre programming. And everybody started to, oh, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Oh, I've been watching. I've got a guy who can sort of hook you up and stuff. So, yeah, it really did start to sort of fall off around this point.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to ask, just to get you into that 2006 feeling, do you want to know what movie was number one at the Australian box office?
Yeah. Tell me what it is.
There's a theme to all of this, right? Last week it was The Island.
Yes.
This week it's another island-based adventure. It is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. So,
right. Which one's that? Is that the second one, third one?
I was going to ask you. That was going to be the quiz. Which do you know which one that was?
No idea.
Yeah, it was the second one. It was the second one. Yeah, so they're on like a $25 million run at the box office at this point. They're doing really well. So yeah, that was the second one. I don't think we were sick of the Pirates.
Weren't sick of the Pirates yet. Weren't sick of Johnny Depp's antics quite yet.
No.
It would come though. It would come pretty quick.
Yeah. I have a story about Johnny Depp, but I just don't know if I'm game enough to say it on this podcast.
Right in, listeners. Maybe we'll get in the final episode.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go. This hopefully everyone's feeling very 2006, and that's what was happening when the second season finale aired.
All right. So should we go through what was actually in this finale? What stood out to us?
That's right. Dan, what did one snowman say to the other snowman?
Smells like carrots in here. One of the things that kind of struck me about this one, rewatching it, was just how much Desmond backstory there was. And we kind of think of Desmond as like an integral part of Lost, like so much so that he's got the number one episode. Like,
yep.
But this was the first time we'd really got a proper backstory for him. Up till he was just a mystery man until now. So, and we get so much in this episode. Or this double episode. So you got the jail, the penny thing, the sail around the world thing. It's just, just lots of Desmond. They really took a big punt on him. It's just like, nah, we're going to, this guy is going to be the focus. This guy we've never really seen apart from the first three episodes. He's going to be the sole or the main focus of our final episode. It's just kind of a big leap of faith.
Yeah, they basically just take him off the board for like 20 episodes.
Yeah.
And then he turns up. And the fun thing about this was that the episode prior, the cliffhanger, the end of the prior episode was they were at the funeral for,
Mm,
I think, Libby and Anna Lucia, and then Sun turns around and just says boat. And I
yes.
think if you'd not been paying, well, if you'd been watching one episode at a time on Channel 7 over 20 something weeks, you're
Yeah.
probably not thinking
Yeah.
about, oh, that might be Desmond in or something. There's a sailboat, which was,
Yeah.
yeah, such a great tease. And then of course it ended up being Desmond. But just on the flashback, because I've got some flashback specific notes.
Mm,
The question I have, when Penny meets him at the stadium and like he's met Libby, he's got the
yeah.
boat, he's going to go and prove Widmore wrong, who essentially manipulated him into
Yeah.
doing the race.
Yeah.
Penny comes and talks to him at the stadium. This is 2004?
Yes. Yeah.
2000. It is definitely
Yeah.
after 1996, right?
It's definitely after. Yeah, that's true.
So he is broken up with her, joined the army, done all these things, but then turned up in 1996 to say, hey, don't, still don't give up on me.
Yep.
And we know that in 2007, he will call her on Christmas Day.
Well, wait. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to work out when this actually is
Yeah.
because how long was Jack married to Sarah? Because he was
Oh, I don't know.
because this was when he first met her. Essentially, this is when he's operating on her. So this is that time.
Oh, that's true. I think of this, but then he's got the boat, like he's basically ready to go, right? And
Yeah.
he does spend like I'm like, this has to be after 1996, surely.
Yeah, I think it's probably after 1996, but
Yeah.
yeah, where
Let's
exactly I don't know.
let's write this down as a chat GPT question because I find that fascinating that she has
Mm,
this interaction with him. And I guess he hasn't, in his mind, he hasn't done that yet. But
yeah.
in her experience, he has.
Yes. No. Well,
Write in if you know the answer.
I'm gonna have to rewatch The Constant. But yes.
So yeah, no, that was a just while we're on the flashback, and of course we meet Inman,
Mm,
um, and he talks about Rositsky's map, finishing the invisible map,
yep.
which was this huge hangover from the lockdown episode,
Yes.
which was this thing that we were all scrambling for, like a pen and paper.
Yeah.
And then there's solved in,
Yep.
maybe not all the information, but solved in a few episodes later.
But one of my questions about Inman
Yeah.
is how did he know that Desmond had crashed there? Like, was it just luck or
Mm,
fate that he crashed so close to the hatch and that Inman happened to be out at that time? Like,
yeah.
he, I don't get how Inman just happened to stumble onto him and rescue him. That seems very coincidental, or perhaps fate.
So before Desmond arrives, do you think Inman is just out for walks? And as long as he's back every 108 minutes,
Yeah,
he's not in a hazmat suit.
yeah,
All that has to be thought up when Desmond arrives because that's his
yeah,
plot to get
yeah.
his sailboat
I guess
to
so.
keep him inside. So
I
yeah,
guess so.
I
But
mean, there's every
he
chance
does have the injections which presumably were
Yeah,
given to him
true.
for some reason. So
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
very hazy to me.
Yep.
Exactly. And did he see him crash, then run back in, type in the numbers, get dressed in the hazmat suit, and run back out again? Because yeah, it's odd.
They do he gets brought back into the hatch with seconds to spare,
Yeah.
which is a great way of kind of then introducing, well, okay, so what you need to do is push the button.
Yep.
When they find Desmond, I love this because they swim out, right,
Mm.
to see the boat. Jack, Syed Sawyer. Jack is behind and overtakes them all because he
Yeah.
has
Of
to be
course,
there
he's
for.
Jack.
He's got to be the first one there.
Yeah.
And the shot of Jack looking down at Desmond in the
Yeah.
boat and the little square
Yeah.
hatch.
Very
I don't
hatch
think I'd
reminiscent.
ever, really
Yeah.
noticed it before. And Desmond says, "You," like in the exact same way at the
Yeah.
beginning of the season. It's a fantastic,
Very good.
fantastic callback.
Very good
Yeah.
book ending. Yes.
Yeah. And then I think, look, this is where Desmond's charm comes in. Like, what, to your point earlier, this man's an integral part of how we all, feel about Lost, and we love this guy because as soon as he's on the beach interacting with people, he's just charming the pants off
Yep.
everyone.
They all love him.
Yeah. Except for Claire, because he tries to suggest that Aaron's father maybe thought he was doing the right thing, and I was like,
No. Let me set you straight there.
Yeah. No, that's not
That
on.
guy freaked out when I started planting curtains on the bloody windows. Like, he's no good.
No, not a good father, not a good man. What was great was like you mentioned earlier, the foot with the four toes. But while they're on their way, we also see Saeed praying, which I'm not sure if that might have been one of the first times we would have seen something like that, especially on an American TV show.
I mean, we hadn't seen much of it on the show. We'd seen it a bit in his flashbacks, some of his earlier flashbacks. We'd seen a bit of his faith, but to kind of just integrate it into the sailing thing. I do also love that Saeed, like the most uber competent person on the entire island, we finally find something he can't do. He doesn't know how to sail a boat.
Yeah.
So that kind of tickled me. I'm not convinced Desmond knows how to sail a boat either. Like, he seems really bad at it. But I did quite enjoy that. Saeed just like, "Oh, I don't know how to sail a boat," so he has to get Son and Jin to come help him. That tickled me.
Desmond floats like the snow globe theory, which I thought was a fun, because I'm sure that from this point onward, the writers started teasing us with all of the theories that we would float around that, they're dead the whole time, or maybe they're just stuck in some kind of snow globe. The hunting party. Should we talk about the Jack, Sawyer, Kate, Hurley, Michael? Jack suspects that Michael's been compromised, and is this where we talk about the Hurley? But this seems to be.
Let's talk about the Hurley bird.
Yeah, anybody that's like, oh, what a dumb show. They clearly didn't plan for anything. The bird, this thing, I think is like the prime example, right? That often gets brought up. I don't know anything. I've got no answers.
Well, I've got a few thoughts on the Hurley bird. Firstly, I don't even know that I would have recognized that it was saying Hurley unless they called it out on the show. It just sounds like a random squawk to me. Whatever. But anyway, let's assume that it was saying Hurley. I think they could have solved this really easily if they wanted to. They could have just had Hurley's back in the 1970s. If he has a parrot and he's teaching the parrot to say his name, the parrot escapes. All these other birds start mimicking the parrot. There you go. You've got birds that say Hurley's names. It would have taken them 2 seconds to put a parrot in a scene with Hurley in the 1970s. Come on, guys. Sort it out. Anyway, that's my headcanon. He did have a parrot. We just never got to see it.
That's great. I would never have thought of that. Never. Does ChatGPT?
It does. Let me track down. I do have other questions, but I do specifically have this one. So I'll give you this one early. So according to ChatGPT, the Hurley bird was a mysterious creature that appeared to Hurley a few times on the island in Lost. Its origin and purposes were never fully explained, leaving it as one of the show's quirky unsolved mysteries. It does have some possible suggestions. I won't go through them all, but one is that the Hurley bird was not a literal animal, but rather a symbolic manifestation created by the island itself. Others believe that it might have been a reincarnated form of Hurley's imaginary friend Dave. And a final one is that it's just the smoke monster in disguise. So they're your answers.
I suppose what would make sense possibly is that Walt is currently being held captive, and it's possible that he sent this prehistoric bird after him. Anyway, I guess the answer is that there's no answer, right?
Yeah,
we've got to file this away.
Yeah, although I'm sticking with my Hurley had a parrot answer.
Yes. Now, the fun part about that is that Michael starts going crazy and shooting and realizes he doesn't have any bullets.
Yep.
Which is fantastic. And then there's a shootout later on, and then that's when Jack confronts Michael about being compromised.
Yep.
Screaming at him, "Tell them the truth, Michael." And then he cracks and he's like, it was the only way. They gave me a list. Hurley realizing, hang on.
Yeah.
That means you killed
Libby.
Anna
Yeah.
Lucia and Libby. And then Michael's trying to say it's a mistake. He's like, yeah, but even if you did have more time, I'm pretty sure you would have
Yeah.
made the same decision. This this to me is like, okay, we're in finale territory. Like things have just everything is ratcheted up. The stakes, there it's all there, juxtaposed with everything happening in the hatch. Like
Yeah.
it's such a great and they're just all the performances, everything all round is so spot on. And then ultimately, though, they need to play along because Jack has a plan. They can't
Yeah.
suspect anything, and then this is when they stumble upon the journals
Mm.
that everyone had been watching Rosidzky move ping pong tables,
Yeah.
writing it down and sending it through the pneumatic tubes.
And it just lands on a field in the middle of nowhere.
Yep, absolutely pointless. Yeah, and then this is when they get knocked out by darts. And again, this is another thing for me with the show, which I'll never come to a resolution on, is the whispering. I really think
Mm.
they retroactively try and say that, oh no, it was the ghosts of the island or something. But I think it was a genuine. The others were able to do it somehow.
Summon whispers somehow. Yeah.
Summon whispers
Yeah.
and make everybody
Yeah,
feel,
it's all, it's all, it's all. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been satisfied with the whispers.
yeah, yeah.
Whispers.
And yeah, so then they get captured by the others. Kate tells Tom, "I know your beard is fake." That was a
Yep.
really fun moment.
Yeah.
And but then Ben arriving by boat. That this is fantastic stuff. Like he's the
Yeah.
physical acting from Michael Emerson, the way he says hello again.
What I love about this reminded me so much of the season 4 finale in the sense that like Ben or Henry, as he's known to them at the time, like he shows up with like still 20 minutes to go. In my mind, that's like
Yeah.
he shows up with like 2 minutes left and you know
Yeah, bags on
says his
heads,
things.
fade
Yep,
to
that's
black.
it.
Yeah.
But no, there's still 20 minutes to go in this last episode. So and that's what I mentioned that in the season 4 finale as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
my sense of time is completely distorted on some of these finales.
Well, they really it's such a good scene because they let us sort of spend some time getting used to the idea that no, Henry had was acting the whole time, and
Yep.
who is this guy? He says we got more than we bargained for when Walt joined us.
Yep.
So file that away in the Walt files, and um, Michael says, "Who are you people?" And he
Yeah.
said, "We're the good guys, Michael." That is
Yep.
the
Fantastic.
reading there, for both of them is so good, and this, like we know, the actor that played Walt shot up
Yeah.
way too quickly, and you can see it here
Yeah.
because they'd hidden him away for the whole season, and
Yes.
he's hiding in the boat, and then he's like that tall guy in The Simpsons who owns
Yeah. The
the
car.
really tiny car, and he's
Yep.
got like his legs and knees start flying out of the boat.
Yep.
The poor kid has had this crazy growth spurt. He jumps on Michael,
Yeah.
and then
And then they
make
cut to behind where there's some other much smaller child hugging Michael,
yes,
and then they cut back to the front again.
yeah. So yeah, that's absolutely incredible. But what happens is that suddenly the sky goes white because we've got hatch action.
Yep.
Echo has basically kicked Locke out.
Yep. Yeah, they have a big
And
fight, those two, right at the beginning of the finale. They
yeah,
have a
yep.
good fight. Well, what I like in the aftermath of that fight is that Locke just goes into the jungle and has a good, hearty jungle cry. And I think that's good. That's very healthy of him. And of course, Charlie's a dick about it, but Locke's just, I'm upset about this. This is no good.
Yeah, I think that goes to the ultimate sort of sadness of that character because
Yeah.
it's like everything is supposed to mean, it's all supposed to mean something.
And none of it
And
does.
he's at this another low point to the point where he's crying because he's like, this none of this makes sense. And then yeah, Charlie's a real dick and he's like, you might want to go and talk to Desmond, but he latches onto it because he's like, well, that's it. This has to be
Mm.
this has to be the thing, and he goes and shows Desmond the orientation film, or at least gives it to him, and Desmond helps him get back into the hatch by creating the lockdown, which he'd learnt
Yep.
from In Man. Desmond says, "We locked out a priest." When he finds, he's like, "Who was that guy?"
Yeah.
Which would hurt Desmond
Yep.
quite a bit. And then there's this fantastic scene where John is talking about belief and destiny, and he's like, everything I had to do and get inside this hatch. I thought, that Boone was a sacrifice, but it was all for nothing. Then he talks about that time when the light come
Yeah.
on, and he's like, that was probably just you going to the toilet.
But then we see the flip side of that, and we see that Desmond was in a similar state. Desmond was about to, he's reading his book, and he was just like, I don't know how to go on, and then he hears lock up ahead. I love that. I love the way we see both sides of that, and they're helping one another inadvertently through this moment.
Yeah, he's reading the letter he got from Penny, which I think he hadn't, all of his letters had been cut off to Widmore, but there was this letter that he never knew he had, because he'd never reached for the book. He'd never actually gone to read it. But then, John doesn't want a bar of it. He smashes the computer.
Yeah.
Which is another moment where he's wrong. He says, and then Desmond says to him, there's no such thing as fate, but you saved my life. I'm sorry for whatever happened that made you stop believing. See you in another life, brother. And he's made the decision that I'm going to go down and I'm going to turn the key, the fail safe, and I guess save the world. I guess he's sort of embraced his destiny.
Yeah. That's good stuff. One of the things I did like about the Desmond Locke relationship, as brief as it is in this finale, I kind of wish that Boxman had stuck as a nickname for Locke. I love Desmond just calling him Boxman. There should have been more of that.
Yeah.
A prototype Sawyer in the making, but he kind of just abandoned and went with the real names.
He became a real sort of, once he gave up the drink, he kind of became a real noble character, didn't he? Would have enjoyed more drunken Desmond, this drunk Scotsman getting around and giving people nicknames. When the hatch starts folding in on itself, where John says to Echo, "I was wrong." And then Charlie has had the most bizarre adventure, because he's been dragged off the beach, they've blown up, things have exploded.
Echo's mucking about with dynamite. It's just like,
and then he just kind of gets up and just wanders back to the beach.
And then he's like, "Where's everyone else?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, my ears are a bit ring," and he gets a kiss from Claire, but he's everyone's like, "Where have you been?" He's like, "Nowhere." While the quarantine, like the door, the hatch comes flying down. And that's essentially from that moment to the hoods being pulled over everyone. And we think, okay, that's a pretty good season finale. But then they just have to give us a little bit more, don't they? Where we get these fellows speaking Portuguese.
Yep.
I love it. We missed it again, didn't we? Because obviously when the plane crashed the first time, these men would have been...
They would have got an alert.
And they'd obviously missed it.
Yeah.
That's such a good button, because it's related to Desmond, and
Just on that last bit, the one thing that kind of nags at me is why is Penny monitoring for these fail safes? Like, how does she know that that's a way to get her to Desmond? Like that kind of nags at me. Why on earth would you think that's a solution? The only thing I can think of is that I can understand why Charles is monitoring for this. He's trying to track down the island. He's got people everywhere. And maybe Penny's just bribed these two dudes and said, "Hey, if you hear anything, call me." But I still don't know why she would know what would lead to Desmond.
Well, it's definitely her team, because they come back 2 seasons later to rescue the Oceanic Six.
Yeah.
After the freight has
blown up. So that's those same two guys.
Because they're all speaking Portuguese.
Yeah, that's
this
true,
is just something I picked up through, because I watched in my rewatch. I ended up watching it on subtitles, and it's the same. I actually checked; it's the same act. I think some of the same actors as well are sort of back to help them on board, and that. So you've got Penny's crew, You've got Widmore's crew, and it makes sense that she'd be like, "Look, this man that I love is sailing around the world like an idiot. I need some eyes or something." But the idea of the I'll watch out for electromagnetic activity. You're right. Like I think you're right. I
I mean,
can't.
unless her dad used to tell us stories about there's this crazy island, young Penelope. We'll track it down one day, and it's got
Yeah.
all kinds of electromagnetic stuff. And if you ever have a boyfriend who I hate and you can't find him, maybe he's on that island. But that does strike me as a little bit convenient.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, so that was the end of season 2. Like I said earlier, I think it's a fantastic season, really tight, great balance of some just sort of hanging out on the beach as well as some great mystery development and new characters and things.
Yeah, the finale does raise a few mysteries, which I did get ChatGPT to check on if we want to go
Excellent.
through them.
Please.
So these are the ones that kind of popped into my head as I was watching it. Who was Libby's husband, David? How does he tie into the show? Because she makes a big deal about this David person. I'm like,
Hmm.
are we supposed to know who that is? Certainly at the time, we might have been wondering that. ChatGPT has no answers. Libby's
Oh, okay.
husband, David, was never explicitly shown or explored. Although it does claim that in a flashback showing Libby's time in a mental institution, she mentioned her husband's name was David. She claimed he had been brainwashed by a corporation to give up all his information and personal identity. I'm not sure that happened, did it? I don't remember
No,
Libby
not that
ever
I'm
saying
aware
that.
of. She should have just said my husband Henry, and then we all could have
Yeah,
speculated about
yeah.
Henry Gale, the real Henry Gale.
All right, let's give it a crack at what happened to the rest of the four-toed statue.
Yeah.
All right, it has a very confident answer for this one. The rest of the statue's body and head had been destroyed and broken apart over time, likely by one of the periodic purges or catastrophic events that seemed to wipe out civilizations on the island. By the present day, events have lost. Only the foot portion remained uncovered, with the rest of the destroyed statue still buried under the ground. So I'm not quite sure that's right either.
No. Did the statue go for, because they really emphasize the four toe thing,
Mm.
and we know that in its full complete form, I don't know if it had 4 feet or whether the Egyptian
Yeah,
element was known to have 4 toes.
I don't know, but I did ask ChatGPT, why does the statue only have four toes?
Excellent. Hmm.
It says the four toes appear to be a very intentional creative choice, likely holding cultural/religious symbolism and adding to the supernatural aura surrounding the island's mysteries. Thanks, ChatGPT.
Okay.
Really
Yeah,
helpful.
thanks for nothing.
And then the question I asked earlier: how did Inman know Desmond had crashed his yacht there? Was it just luck or fate that he crashed so close to the hatch? The show leaves it somewhat ambiguous. Most theories lean towards the island's electromagnetic properties playing a role, whether by freak coincidence or more direct manipulation. Again, don't know what that means.
Ah.
Finally, what is the white light that bathes the island after Desmond turns the failsafe key?
Oh, he's going to get this wrong.
Well, it has three possibilities. It says a massive electromagnetic discharge, and it
Hmm.
claims that's the most widely accepted theory. Bingo, I think that's spot on. It
Hmm.
also says maybe it's a glimpse of the source. Some believe the light was a visual manifestation to the heart of the island itself. Maybe. And then its third guess, which is a little bit more out there, it's a shift between realities slash dimensions. It could be the island shifting or transporting itself to a different plane of existence, reality, or dimension.
You've gotten confused there, David.
Oh, sorry, I did have one more. Sorry,
Okay.
one more. Are the others the good guys? No.
Okay.
Despite Ben's claims, it becomes very clear over the course of the series that the others are definitely not the heroes or protagonists of Lost. Ben specifically is shown making many morally questionable and villainous choices, like ordering the purge of the Dharma Initiative.
Okay. On surface level, sure. If you judge them by Ben's actions,
Yes.
yeah, definitely. All right. Should we put Live Together, Die Alone to bed?
Yeah, I'll just quickly go through the official Lost podcast. They did have a couple of
Oh,
tidbits on this one.
okay. 'Cause see, when you rate, I just assume there's going to be nothing of that. Like these two boys are like just giving us like peanuts.
Well, they did have somebody echoing your thoughts. This was the last thing I had, but they did mention that someone wrote in to complain that the podcast was too insincere and sarcastic, and their response was that they were paid $9,000 an episode, so they didn't care. So, but prior to the finale, they had an episode where they said that they hoped people wouldn't be so angry with them after this finale. They also revealed a little factoid that Damon Lindelof had made his first appearance on Lost. His hand was apparently in question mark, replacing Terry O'Quinn's hand because Terry O'Quinn wasn't able to shoot a scene where the lights were turned on. So Damon Lindelof's hand came in there. So there, minor trivia. Then after the episode, they answered a few questions. Well, answered in inverted commas. The four-toed statue, they speculated that it might be Homer Simpson, who famously only has four fingers or hands. They were also busily engaging in a mock feud with the Hanso Foundation. That was kind of a lead up to one of the Lost games, I think.
Yeah.
They did tease that maybe, because someone wrote in to complain that there wasn't enough smoke monster or enough monster in season 2, and they teased that maybe you did see the monster in season 2 but didn't know it. So that was kind of interesting.
Oh, because there is Yemi?
Yeah,
yes,
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they teased some upcoming season 3 stories, including how Locke got in the wheelchair and where Jack got his tattoos.
Oh, you thought you were being funny.
Yes. And then they talked about the coda because apparently people thought that one of the Portuguese-speaking gentlemen was Matthew Fox, and they confirmed that no, Matthew Fox does not speak Portuguese. So,
okay, this is one of the other things I've discovered while getting back into this show is those two men think that they're hilarious, and we will go on to my parodies of Lost in a moment. Not this week, but as a teaser for next week, more Carlton Cuse and Damon Lindelof thinking they're funny action coming your way next week.
Okay.
But if you're ready to put a
we're done. We're done with this episode.
Today I sent you a Super Bowl ad.
You did indeed.
That they'd created to promo what I assume was like the second half.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Season. With the Super Bowl always being in January.
January, yeah. So they must have, they must have done that because it did have some scenes from season 2.
Yep, yeah, definitely had all season 2 characters in it, but I think it was teasing like that mid-season break. So obviously I'll share this on socials, but this must have been before they started spending millions and millions on Super Bowl ads because this was purely a promo for the show to get involved in season 2, and they thought, what better way to pump people up?
Obvious thing that we all think of when we think how to promote Lost is
that you take Lost and you take Robert Palmer, and more specifically his seminal hit "Addicted to Love," and you create a parody called "Addicted to Lost," and you just run that with footage of Lost and. Everybody
pick it up to the lyrics.
That's it. Yeah. Look, because all you really need to do is change one word, which is might as well face it. You're addicted to Lost. Yeah. And you're done. But it's kind of good.
I was bopping around to it. I mean, I like the song, and then this was on there. I was like, oh, they've edited it well. They've got the kiss. They got they got all these references. I quite enjoyed it. Shamefully.
And this is the classic music film clip where he's dancing with the women are all in like the pencil skirts and they've got the hair slicked back, and so when Jack and Locke they show Jack and Locke putting in a Dharma reel, and instead of there's Pierre Chang or Mr. Hanso or whoever, it's Robert Palmer. It's that film clip, which is just bizarre to watch.
It's very funny.
Yeah, while the song plays. So it's only a minute, so it's kind of harmless. But just I don't know how many hours in the boardroom to come up with that.
30 seconds. Some guy had been listening to the song as he came in on his Walkman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got it. That's it. So yeah, that's my that's our this week in Lost parodies. It's
Yeah.
the Lost Super Bowl ad, self-inflicted,
Yes.
a self-inflicted parody. Now, have you got any other bits and bobs from around this time?
No, I think that's pretty much covered it.
Or shall I go into award season?
Yeah, yeah, we better do our awards. Yes. No Emmys for Lost, as we mentioned.
No, that's right. But I needed something. Are you ready for a rabbit hole,
Yep.
Dan?
Hit me.
All right. Are you sure?
No, no, but let's do it anyway.
Look, if at any point you want to shout, "I'm a celebrity, get me out of here," or something to that effect, we will
Yep.
pull the plug. But we're gonna hold hands and we're gonna dive in. Let's do it.
All
So
right.
there was a Golden Globes win for season two, but we talked about that all the way back in episode 2 of this podcast, and we know that Prince Albert II doesn't start watching Lost until like season 3. So someone gives him the DVDs at some point. So no golden nymphs for us over at the Saturn Awards. We
Our favorites.
That's right. There were a couple of nominations. Adewale Akinyoye Agbaje. I've been practicing that all day. He gets a nomination. Michelle Rodriguez gets a nomination, but
So all the tailies.
yeah, the Tailies. No, not for Bernard though.
No.
The American Cinema Editors gave a nomination. So
For the Robert Palmer ad.
yes, so it was actually for Live Together, Die Alone.
Okay.
Part 1. Yeah. So part 1, not part 2, received a nomination from
Yep.
the for best edited miniseries or motion picture for commercial television. No wins there. And then I finally found what I was looking for, Dan.
Yep.
The 2006 BAFTA Awards.
Oh, the Brits.
Yes, we're going to go to jolly old London, where Janine Smith, Mark Lim, and Tracy Blasher are nominated for Best Television and Craft New Media Development. So this is for the website. So they received a
Right.
BAFTA. They
A
received a
BAFTA for a
nomination,
website.
a nomination for what they're calling new media developer. So the website Lost the Untold was a sort of an interactive, and everyone was, this was the new thing to do with TV shows back then,
Yep.
right? Like we want to keep people engaged and everything. Now, as I said, they didn't win. If you'd like to know who won the BAFTA that year for new media developer,
It was the Prison Break
no,
website.
it was something called Danny Wallace's How to Start Your Own Country. This
Okay.
this is a rabbit hole all on its own. But if anybody's had seen that, please let me know about it, because it looks fascinating. It's about a guy that follows a journey on how to start your own country, and I think he meets a bunch of sovsits and scholars and the like. And it's one of those documentaries where you think, you try and do some kind of big project that is impossible, but
Yeah.
like eating McDonald's every day for 30 days or whatever. But it looks kind of funny. If anyone's seen How to Start Your Own Country, let me know if it's any good. Other nominations: Doctor Who. Were you a big Doctor Who guy, Dan?
Not really, no. I've
No?
seen a handful of episodes. It's not really.
Okay.
I should be, but I just haven't got around to it. Too many
Yeah.
things to watch.
Attack of the Grasky must have been an episode, and they created a game for the website, so that received a nomination. And the last nomination was for Cosmetic Surgery Live, and they were nominated for mobile streaming.
Whoa.
So yeah, fascinating, right? Like the
So
idea
it's like a
of
TikTok channel.
being able to stream or watch something on a mobile device. Back in 2006, I know I used to download things on the Apple website or
Yep.
iTunes, and I would load them onto my iPod Color,
Yep.
and I'd be able to watch
Yep.
small television shows.
I certainly did that as well.
Yeah. So, but it was for Cosmetic Surgery Live. So there you go. That's what was happening at the BAFTAs. But now I need to tell you about Lost the Untold. So this team in the UK wanted to do this website for like the sort of end of the first season into the second season. And they said they created a 6-week long episodic online narrative which aim to explore the elements that you didn't see on the island. So the characters' dreams and their unconsciousness and the
Oh.
reality they left behind. Channel 4 supported the website with a dedicated phone line you could call to retrieve weekly clues and passwords for the site. So, yeah,
Was this sanctioned by ABC? Like, would the official Lost people know anything about this?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
But the website is still on the Internet Wayback Machine. So
Okay. Yep.
if you do some Googling, Lost the Untold, you'll be able to get to the website. And when you do, you you first get this fake like news reports. So like from a fake news channel, like these newsreaders reporting on the crash. And you're like, oh, this is footage and stuff that is involved with the show that is not being created
Hmm.
by the team. And then you get this flight manifest. And so you can look at the names that have been highlighted, right? Obviously, our heroes,
Yep.
our lost survivors. And then if you click on their name, you get a little profile. Oh, that's Kate Austin. And you
Hmm.
can click a white stone or a black stone and you get a video. Now, assume this is where the subconscious video or the what they left behind video would play. It doesn't work. I'm so disappointed because I
Yeah.
assume whatever they shot was like, nah, that's not,
Yeah.
no, that is not part of these characters. You're getting
It was
way
probably
ahead
like
of
a
yourselves.
Flash website or something. Flash
Yeah,
video.
oh, these were Flash videos. Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. So it's since been dubbed. This is a term I'd never heard before. I think it's deuterocanon. So basically, by the lost community. So they've basically said, no, this does not count. None of this counts. It's not allowed, right? So, for example, the flight manifest, they get names wrong, right?
Right.
They misspell, they get names in the wrong order. Like Anna Lucia's son, their names are wrong. There's like a fake FAA incident report in there as well. Again, too much information that they made up. Like they even suggested where the plane crashed, and they're like,
Yep.
"No, we're not. No, you can't do that. That's important. Please
Yep.
don't do that." And then, so according to one of the official Lost websites, the plane only had 42 rows of seats. Right? That's canon. The manifest on this website had 84 rows. The flight had 84 rows of passengers. Sun and Jin are listed as sitting in row 50, which would have put them in the tail section.
Hmm.
And that was 8 rows behind Anna Lucia. She's a tailie. And Claire is listed as sitting 5 rows behind Sun and Jin. So
In the pregnant lady section.
exactly, yes, yeah. It's all wrong. Plus it's missing Leslie Arts, right? So yeah, the whole thing goes in the bin, right?
And it had Ethan Rom on there.
No, no, at least they got that right. But it just took me back to this place where everybody started doing a website for their TV show.
Yeah.
And so that brings me to the Channel 7 website. Do
Oh,
you
okay.
remember interacting or engaging with the channel website during season 2?
No, I don't think I ever interacted with the website. I'm sorry.
So they create a special website. This is way more effort and information that I would ever expect for a local country. I assume they got some assets or something,
Yeah.
but every week there would be a clue, right? On probably the episode that you just watched.
Yeah.
Like you'd do a bit here and there, and then you'd get some kind of answer. So when in the first episode of the season, when Walt appears to Shannon and he's just like kind of babbling and whatever, we don't know what's going on the website, it confirms that he's actually speaking in reverse.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you reverse it, he's saying, don't press button, don't press
Oh,
button.
okay.
And I was like, I didn't know that. That's legitimately like, I think that's part of the show and they wanted
Yeah.
us to know that. But there's like 24 episodes, right? So a lot of them are just like, oh, did you know that when Bernard had the receiver, he was talking to Boone? We're like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we knew that. So it's a lot of Easter eggs. They did tease, said that Christian was somebody's father, and then they show a photo of Claire. And I feel like that's really early.
Yeah.
If you
Okay.
think about where we are in season 2, that sort of feels really early to be giving that away. And then finally, they go into this whole thing. Now, one of Sawyer's many treasures that he has in his stash
Mm.
is the manuscript for something called Bad Twin.
Yes, I know Bad Twin.
Do you know about what do you know about? Please tell me what you know about Bad Twin.
Bad Twin was well, within the canon of the show, it was a novel written by the dude who got sucked into the fuselage.
I didn't know this.
But I think it was actually also published in our world. I've never read it, but so that someone cranked out a version of it that you could buy and read, but I've never read it.
That's right. So Gary Troop
Gary
was
Troop, that's
on.
right.
Yes, he was part of the manifest. And I remember in our first conversation with Fiona, she kept going on about this guy that survived a plane crash
Mm.
and then got sucked into a turbine, and that was Gary Troop. He wrote a detective novel called Bad Twin, and I love what other show where we can talk about not only who that guy was, but he wrote a book. Sawyer was reading it, and I can tell you everything that happened in that book. I'm not going to, right? But it was like it's a private eye story. The guy's got an evil twin, and it's somehow linked to like Widmore's father. So like
Okay.
it's mind blowing, absolutely mind
Uh,
blowing, and that the story took place. Parts of it took place in Australia, which is why Gary Troop was over there because he was
right.
researching
Doing
for
some
the.
research.
Yeah, but you're right. They turned it into a real novel. They printed it up, and people could purchase it, I think, and people could get it through these like treasure hunts and things. So then in Australia, Dan, do you know who the Lost Ninja is?
No, I have no idea who the Lost Ninja is. Is it
So the
Gary Troop?
Lost, no, no. So the Lost Ninja was at Channel 7. He was the official blogger of the TV show, right? And I think his face was covered, and he had this whole, I don't know, backstory about being so he was this anonymous person, but he would blog about Lost, and then encourage people to get on the website, look at all these clues, just sort of have extra
Yeah.
fun with the show week to week. I think he also did it for Heroes.
Yeah,
So
right.
someone had this
Heroes
job.
Ninja in his spare time.
Yeah. Someone had the job to just basically try and run all of these like games and stuff. But he was giving away copies of Bad Twin in Australia.
Right.
So Lost Ninja organized events where people, upon giving a secret password, would receive a free copy of the book. The first of these events was at Customs House in Circular Quay, Sydney,
Yeah.
and at the Melbourne Museum. Anyone who went to the information desk between 1 to 2 p.m. on Friday, the 2nd of June 2006, and asked, what did one snowman say to the other, got a free copy of Bad Twin.
Fantastic.
So now
That's
I
so
ask
cool.
anybody out there, if you did this, if you remember this, if you heard this, do you have a copy of Bad Twin? Please, I need to know if anyone ever turned up at reception and
Yeah.
started, quizzing
Well,
people.
a big miss not to have the times be, lost number times. Like
Yeah,
could have been
yeah.
between 108 and I don't know, whatever.
8:15 or something.
Yeah.
And he also gave out Apollo candy
Oh,
to
really?
people,
Okay.
right? And would drop it at like comic book stores and stuff. So I'm so disappointed that I didn't know about this man at the time, and that he was this little man or
I
woman.
didn't know about it either. But
Yeah, the Lost Ninja was blogging away, but they
I should
just
have been logging onto Channel 7 more often. Like just
they
in the
really
curtain.
took it to a new level. I was like, I'm obsessed with who the Lost Ninja is, and I found a link to his MySpace page because back then you had to have.
You've done a lot of research here.
Yeah, I went down a real rabbit hole here, but his MySpace page it's still there. It's barely functional, and in amongst his top 8 friends is someone called Lost Lock, which I thought
Oh, there you go.
which was fun. So
Good
that's
work.
that's where I went today. If anyone in Australia or maybe overseas, if you received a copy of Bad Twin, I want to know about it. Or if anyone's
Yeah.
ever eaten an Apollo bar, candy bar, I want to know about it.
Fantastic. That is excellent research. That is good rabbit
Thank you.
holing.
That's why we have a podcast.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
That's it. That's it. We can
Oh, you didn't tell me. So the BAFTA winning website, were they cancelled? Like, did anyone say, "Hey, stop doing this"? You don't belong.
Oh no, they ended up getting so the basically this thing got scrapped, and
Yeah.
I think by the next season there's something called Lost the Experience,
Right.
and then there would be other subsequent online engaged things where the US, the UK, and Australia would work together.
Yeah, that seems much more sensible.
Yeah, to bring these things to life. But the production company that worked on Lost the Untold probably got a polite talking to, but then also were contracted to create more
Right.
content, but in conjunction with
Yeah.
the writing team. So yeah, that's where they ended up.
Very good. All right. Shall we do a list within a list?
Let's let's do it.
What is this week's topic?
So yeah, we want great moments in hazmat suit wearing in honor of Kelvin Inman.
Yes.
Anything with it, yeah. So radioactive outbreaks and things like that, where
Yep.
we get a good sort of hazmat or just some radioactive fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you got a few
Yeah, I'll
options,
kick off if you like, because I don't think you'll have this one, because
hmm
this is more my era as a slightly older gentleman. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. When the government shows up to capture E.T., they've all got these
yes,
massive suits on to take the little
hmm
bugger and
yep,
put him away. So yeah, E.T. I watched E.T. when I was whatever I was, 12.
yep,
Cried at the end of that one. Haven't
hmm
watched E.T. since. So but I do remember those suits.
was 100% on my list
Oh, really?
because there was one movie I would rent over and over and over and over again as a
Ah,
little kid, which was E.T. And that's what I wanted to ask you, Dan, because there's an age difference here. Like, yeah,
mm,
did you get to see it at the movies?
I did.
Yeah, what did you would have been like the perfect
I was.
age
I
for.
was Elliot's age, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. So I think, yeah, movies, it took so long for things to come out on home video, but yeah,
Mm,
by the time I was a little kid, it was just a go-to. Like we would go every week, but poor
yeah.
mum would just be like, come on, we go in the video store. There'd just be nothing else to rent. So I'd just get DT over and over again.
Oh, there you go. So
Uh,
sorry to jump on your ET.
no, that's okay. I want to get, I wonder if there's a couple that are just so obvious we need to get them out of the way.
All right, hit me with the obvious one because I think that was the second on my list. Hit me with your number one obvious
Okay,
one.
I'll go with a pretty obvious one. Breaking Bad.
That was number two
Yeah,
on my list. Yep.
yeah,
The
yeah.
the
They're just
iconic meth cooking look.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. Especially when they upgrade from the van to
Mm,
the pest control
yep.
business, and they're yeah fully in their sit. Like, yeah, there's just so many iconic posters and
Yeah. Yeah.
images and stuff. Yeah, you got to go Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Give it. Have you
Definitely.
can give us a new one, Dan?
All right, this one I'm going to delve into the world of comic books here. I'm going to delve into Watchmen.
Okay.
When Doctor Manhattan leaves Earth, he's being framed as being carcinogenic, who's given all kinds of people cancer. His girlfriend Laurie goes back home. She lives in a research bunker with him, and she can't enter because it's all sealed off, and everyone's got hazmat suits on. They're saying, "No,
Mm.
can't be around here. Could all be radioactive from this giant blue man." So there you go, Watchmen.
I got into Watchmen very late, like when I sort of got into like the near when the movie came out, and
Yeah.
then I think that there was a big resurgence in the graphic novels. Right, suddenly everyone was reading the Dark Knight,
Yeah.
sort of the Frank Miller
Hmm.
books, and these things became very popularized for me and my friends.
Yep.
I think the Australian dollar was doing really well, and so I just went on Amazon and I got a copy of The Watchmen and just the collective. Right,
Yeah.
the first time I'd ever read it. Did you were you able to read it as it came out
No,
back in the
I
day?
was too much of a country bumpkin. I didn't have access to it
Okay.
at that time. But yeah, like a couple of years, like when I got to university in late 80s, early 90s,
Yep.
I found a copy in a Brisbane comic book store and said I will
hmm
read that very much, and I very
Yeah.
much enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Go back to it every now and then. It's really good. Did you enjoy the Damon Lindelof?
I loved the
Yeah.
Damon Lindelof
Yeah.
spin-off. I thought that was brilliant.
Very good because old mate's not very fond of anyone kind of
No,
Alan Moore.
Alan Moore. I have thoughts on Alan Moore, but we'll save them for a different
Righto.
podcast.
Okay. I'll go with a The other obvious one that I don't think is as obvious, but I think we've all seen this hazmat suit thousands of times,
Mm.
and that would be Homer Simpson,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
No, I did
You
not
know,
think of that one. That's a good one. Yes.
opening credits of
Yes.
The Simpsons. Yeah, all there was something in my head that I could picture, and it was so fuzzy, and then it finally hit me the other day.
Brilliant. Well done. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I will give that one to you. I was trying to remember some famous scenes in zombie movies because it feels like zombie movies, there must be plenty. And I was poking around. I was like, was it, what was it? Was it 28 Days Later? Was it World War Z? And
Hmm.
eventually, while I was Googling around, I discovered something great in the World War Z, World War Z game. And apparently, in that game, which I've never played, but there
Yeah.
is a creature called the Gas Bag, which is a zombie in a hazmat suit full of deadly gas that, when released, can harm anyone if they linger in it for even a second. So I don't think that's iconic, but it did tickle me. And you can't be the only one nominating games in this section. I'm nominating a game. I'm nominating the World War Z/Z game.
I think I tried to play that with some friends and we didn't get very far because it wasn't very good. But
No.
the idea of somebody turning while in the suit
Yeah.
and all the evilness being trapped in there,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really clever.
Mm.
Okay, I'll go back to 1995. Another lazy Sunday.
Mm.
What's on the Foxtel Movie Channel? Outbreak, starring
Ah, yes.
Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, and Morgan Freeman. What a cast!
Yep.
Yep, it's 1995. The Matoba virus has spread from, I think, the jungles of somewhere in
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah. I haven't seen the
To
movie. I know the general gist. Is this another Michael
yeah,
Crichton one?
I
Not
don't
sure.
know. I just know that the virus had to come to California for it to be
Oh,
a real story. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah, we've got a breakout in California, and it's about monkeys. So that
Yeah.
also, yeah, not a bad watch. Not a bad. I'm not
Okay.
going to assign homework, but seeing Dustin Hoffman in a genre film, would that be fair to say? When you
Right.
generally think of him
Yeah.
in
Yeah. No,
more
he's usually more
classic roles, to yeah,
classic
just
drama. Yeah.
yeah, yep. So there's so Outbreak.
It wasn't a Michael Crichton one. He did the Andromeda Strain, which is probably what I'm thinking of. I don't have any more. I ran out of
All right.
hazmat suits. So
Okay.
I can be irradiated at any moment.
I'll reel off a couple. I did have Toxic Crusaders, so not
Hmm.
the Toxic Avengers, but because I don't think I'm old enough to have gotten into a lot of that
No,
trauma sort of thing. But
I am,
the
but it didn't
animated,
appeal to me.
yeah, the old animated series that I think they tried to have a crack at trying to be the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Mm. As so many things did.
Yes, Biker Mice from Mars,
Yeah.
etc. No, but my true number one here is Pandemic, the board game.
Oh, I love Pandemic, the board game.
Pandemic is an all-time favorite for me. Just a brilliant game. A little bit taboo from 2020 to
Mm.
2022 but we spent a lot of days inside during COVID playing
Playing,
Pandemic.
playing Pandemic. So did we. Have you ever played the Pandemic Legacy games?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
we've done the
we
first one. We're just started the second one, so
oh,
don't no
excellent.
spoilers on the
Excellent.
second one.
No, we played the first one during lockdown,
Right.
and or I should say that during a COVID lockdown, where because there was only two of us in the house at the time, and so we
Yep.
each had two characters,
Yep.
so it was hard to track cover. But we currently have a game going with a couple of friends that also have a toddler, and so the tradition at the moment is that we swap between houses.
Yep.
We wait until a certain time, the kids go to bed,
Yep.
and then we get through 1 month of pandemic.
Sounds
So
perfect. Yes.
yeah, so if you're unfamiliar with the game, check it out. It's unique in that when you play with a group of people, and everybody wins or everybody loses. So
We're all on the
yeah,
same team.
that's it. Yeah, very unique, I think, for a lot of games to be like, right, you're all on the same team. You all need to help each other out. You all need to win, and then blame someone for the move
Yeah. Yeah.
that ruins it all. So there we go. That I think believe that list within the list. And welcome back. It is time once again to catch up with our favorite first time viewer, Fiona. Won't be a first time viewer for much longer, I think, because we're here to talk about season 5, Fee. So hang on, sorry, if you just ignore that giant flash of white, doesn't mean anything. I'm sure everything is fine. Let's get in the Dharma van and take a trip down to the dig site and talk about season 5. This will be either the longest or shortest discussion that we have. Because you warned us 2 seasons ago
Yeah.
that you're not great with time travel.
Yeah. As soon as you mentioned that, season 5 is going to be fun.
So I admitted to you guys that time travel confuses me, which is not an easy thing for me to admit. I don't like to admit when I don't understand things or when I'm not smart enough to get my head around things. But I poured my heart out to you two gentlemen and told you my, let's face it, only weakness. And you both just stared back at me. I got no warning, no indication of what I was walking into. Just a buffet of time travel.
Yeah.
I didn't start watching this season straight away, and then I think I don't know if I messaged Chris or Chris messaged me and I was like, oh fuck, like I've forgotten, I've been watching other things, I haven't watched it. And he goes, no, I know you hadn't started watching it because you hadn't sent me any text messages. And I thought, well, that's a weird thing to say because like I'm good and bad at the text messages. And then I started to watch it and I sent you a text message, Chris, didn't I?
Yes, first text I got was fucking time travel.
I think it was fucking travel. I think I double fucked it. I was furious.
Yeah.
Furious.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's leave the thumbs up, thumbs down for the end of the conversation, right? Because this is a great place to start because you mentioned a couple episodes, you don't like time travel, and then we talked about the constant.
I hate it. I don't not like it. I hate it. And I'm confused and I feel stupid.
Well, if it's spatiotemporal time travel, that's different. But hey, we know you struggle a little bit with that. This season, we've got Sawyer, Juliet, Miles, Jin, Faraday, Charlotte, Locke. They're just flashing through time. At one point, we lose Locke, which we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
We eventually lose Charlotte. And then they all end up working for Dharma. Like, is this not... Like, well, please, how did you feel about this development?
Well, I was happy because the time stopped flashing. That appealed to me. And I think I guess it was like an opportunity for the story to become, well, it wasn't really linear because there was I guess there was 2 sort of linear stories happening at the same time. But it gave me an opportunity to just stop for a minute and sink into it. And again, that's a me problem. That's time travel is my handicap. I'm just speaking on behalf of me. I'm sure for some people it was an absolute thrill to watch them zipping through time. But for me, I was just So loved it. So they landed in the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's about 77.
I think they first landed in 74, and then by the time Sawyer was in charge, it was 77.
Yes.
So there's a 3-year gap there.
Yes.
Yep.
Gorgeous character development for Sawyer. So we see him finally have a moment to sit, get some responsibility, found himself a nice lady. Yes, she was Jax, but of course she was, because that just seems to be what happens with those 4. And absolutely great to see that sort of shift for him. He became a responsible man. He said things like, I love you. Yep. Cute. So definitely loved that.
What did you think of the reveal? Was it when you watch it back, the way season 4 ends is that Sawyer washes ashore, Sans shirt.
Yeah.
Juliet is half a bottle deep in rum watching the explosion, and they've got each other's back for that. All those flashing sort of moments, and then in the episode itself, they try and leave the reveal to the end of the episode. It feels really obvious now, but that where he brings the flower to the door. We're big LaFleur and Juliet stands on this podcast. So.
I loved it. I don't remember feeling like it was a big reveal. So either I got it or I've forgotten. But not to jump ahead, Massive fan of that couple. I thought they fit together so nicely. They know where each other sits. They know what to expect from one another. I had a lot of difficulty when Kate and Jack came back on the scene because I'm like, let's just move on from this. And I'm also like a lady of a certain age as well, where I'm like, I don't give a shit about the passion and the love and the long, like lingering stares. Like you and Juliet have built something beautiful. That's all that should matter. Like you got a nice 9 to 5. She's got a nice, you've got a nice little house together. Who gives a shit that Kate's come back? Like, no offense. I know she's beyond stunning, but come on, mate. Like, get a grip. So yeah, no, I am also a huge Lafleur Juliet stan.
I think, Dan, you would say we wholeheartedly agree, right? We weren't as passionate when we talked about Lafleur and that specific episode, but we definitely agree.
Yeah,
Loved it.
It's probably not too much of a spoiler for you to hear that both of us have Lafleur in our top 10, right?
Okay. Yes.
So we
Great
love that
episode.
We
Yes.
we love the two of them together.
Yes. Yeah. And I really just think there was such a sweetness to it as well.
Yeah.
And it, like for Juliet, sure, maybe that's who Juliet's always been, but it was just such a big shift for Sawyer. And it almost showed like, oh, this is what his life could have been if he hadn't been so tormented and searching for revenge and he was so full of anger. Like this is just what this like handsome dude could have been if he just had an opportunity to just be loved and supported, which I thought was very sweet. I really liked it.
Yeah. And then a doctor fell out of the sky and everything went to shit, right? Like, I mean, Hurley fits in pretty well. He takes his work assignment. Kitchen, no worries.
Look at the kitchen guys because he's fat. I don't know if the show has mentioned that. I don't know. They've kept it pretty low key, but Hurley's a fat guy. Yeah.
Jack being a janitor was
delicious.
Fun.
Yes.
Yeah, he and Roger Workman are now co-workers.
Yes.
So yeah, I need to ask you, Fiona. Does Roger Workman, does he look familiar to you as an actor?
Well, they all look a bit familiar, but I'm not allowed to Google.
Oh, that's okay. No, I thought it might have. So, it is in 20 years' time, he will become Jennifer Coolidge's boyfriend, better half on White Lotus.
Okay, interesting.
That's why that face would have been nagging at you, which is one of the more fun things I've discovered. Is going, why do I know that face? And there he is. So they turn up and everything kind of sucks, right?
Well, what I found interesting, so just quickly considering we're in the 70s, is why not a single human looked like they were in the 70s. What do you think the choice was there? Because Juliet was there for 3 years. So I get it. She's coming in with her early 2000s long Rachel. That's essentially what she's got. And then that makes sense. But then 3 years later, she's still got the exact same hairdo. Yep. She's still wearing like a cotton blend rouge top that I don't think would have been available then. She's got on some very almost like Juicy Couture jeans, which again, not in the 70s. They had a distressed front. It would have been really fun to see that actually be like a really 70s theme. Like the houses were 70s-ish, but they were also just sort of Stepford wife-ish, as in they were all just very uniform. It would have, and that's fine. I think it would have been really cool if they lent a little bit more into like a costume change to help. I'm not saying me, but those of us who have trouble with time travel, it would have been nice to have like a differentiation there. That would have been a little bit more fun.
We'll pass that note on.
Thank you. If you could let them know if they could update that next time they release the DVD. One of my favorite parts to do with time travel, because this is what would also fuck me over majorly, is when Miles's dad, the doctor who for some reason has 17 different names. I don't know if I've missed why that's happened or not. Yep. But when he said to Hurley, "You're from the future," and Hurley's like, "No." And he said, like, "When were you born?" "Okay, so you're 40 something." And then he said, "So you fought in the Korean War." And he's like, "That's not a thing." And then he said, "Who's the president?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know." And I just thought that was really cute. Like it's again, one of those little moments where I'm like, you're a clever little funny show.
Yeah, they really subvert that. Yeah, so it's always the other way around where you've got to convince the person that you're from, but he's so unconvinced that they're not time travelers. Yes, it was fun that we did go back to our music-based opening scene, which we'd missed in season 4, where Dr. Chiang, he's putting the bottle on the stove and warming up. He's put some music on and nursing nursing baby Miles.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all. I thought that was really a really cute twist. Like, even though there were some breadcrumbs in terms of his miles from the island, how long does he spend on the island? I thought that was really cool and cute. So we didn't really get to the bottom of why Miles can see dead people, though. We haven't, or is it just because he's from the island? It's just the island.
I think we're going to put this down to the island. Look, I think if you're born on the island, that's, you're going to be pretty special, I guess. I don't.
You've got a higher chance of being special, perhaps.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well, he's special. That's cool.
But there are a few special people in the show for no good reason. They just got
for no good reason.
It's because we're so close to getting to the end and going. We're very, very close to getting to the end and going. Okay, Fee. So all that stuff, forget about it. This stuff, yes, some stuff. So yeah, look, some stuff is what happens when you write a show over the course of 6 years and you finally work out what's going on sort of halfway through, as we talked about.
Yeah.
Faraday is also with them now. His fate of being shot by his own mother, hence crying at the tea. Did all of that work for you? Was that incredibly confusing?
It actually did work for me. And I don't know, again, if like smarter people than me have found holes in that. But to me, that packaged up quite nicely, considering it was time travel related. I think that, we obviously met Eloise. That's his mum's Eloise, isn't it? We met her. That actress is somebody that I know. I don't know where from, but she's fabulous. The older version.
Yep.
So she's fucked something up. So she wants them to go back to the island. And then we kind of get that unraveling of like what the fuck up was, I guess, is like putting pressure on the child, and also like, well, shooting him, I guess, wasn't ideal. And then like, so that actually worked for me. The idea that Faraday, from what I gathered, and again, I could be wrong, is like that he'd actually popped in. He's popped in more than once or twice. Like he's the man who keeps coming back and trying to fix things. I'm still too dumb to understand what it is that Jack is trying to fix. I know he's trying to fix it so that plane doesn't crash, but is there more than that he's trying to fix?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's just it. He just his bit. Like this whole island is a clusterfuck of catastrophe, but he's just like, can we just not crash on the island, please?
Yeah, if we don't crash on the island, then his theory is that the plane will land, everyone will land, and they'll live happily ever after.
Which was Faraday's theory. So Faraday tells Jack, if we can set off this bomb, then there's no hatch, which means the plane doesn't crash, which means you will land and get to go on with your lives, and everything else sort of remains as it was. So they've either changed the course of time, or they've caused the event.
So
one or the other.
Dalmerville are going to keep fighting with the hostiles, and Danielle's baby's still missing. Like all of that shit, that's fine. Jack doesn't care about that. But he hasn't had 3 months of lusting after Kate while also being mildly hungry. Like, is that
pretty much?
Am I reading that wrong?
No, that's essentially it. He just wants to wipe out the entire show. He wants to wipe out the first 5 seasons of the show. He's had enough of it.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay. Because again, it's a time travel thing and it confuses me. But So
he wants to fix it. Is his entire thing.
Mr. Dr. Fix-It.
And we talked about this in the first season, in your read of Jack was, okay, yep, there he is, the standard, he's the doctor, handsome, going to help everybody. And we know that eventually it becomes a point of obsession. It's a flaw. He's actually quite flawed because he needs to fix everything. And in this season, he needs to go, he's like, we need to go back. We need to fix it. John Locke, with what John had always said to him, he didn't believe him, and he's like, I was wrong, we have to go back, we have to fix it. And here he is trying to fix it by trying to blow up the thing that, and that therefore it would never crash and everything would continue on. But there's also the chance that he has caused the entire thing to happen.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I think that's your cliffhanger kind of going into season 6.
So we did get told, so what I've been told about what is coming is Richard has said that in the 70s he watched those people die, right? Yep. So he says to Son, yeah, I know them. I watched them die.
Yep.
So I don't think he just watched them get blown up, right? So if that big white explosion is the death of them, well, Richard didn't see that. So I don't think that's what I'm about to witness.
I think he'd seen them at the dig site, and obviously that whole implosion and then the explosion. I think from his point of view, it would be safe to say that he's like, well, those people are clearly dead.
Oh, yeah, but he's being dramatic, saying, I watched them die. Get over it, Richard. Like, he didn't watch them die. I left them at a dig site that exploded. Come on,
yes.
Get your shit together. All right, cool. Okay, so, interesting. So what I found, like, okay, a couple of things that I liked was when Hurley didn't understand time travel and Miles tried to explain it to him, because I got my pen and paper out. I was like, this is what I need. This is what the show desperately needed, was like one idiot in every scene so that I could like have somebody speaking on my behalf. You know, it's like when they say you want one normal person at the Olympics. That's what I wanted. Just one. Oh, that's where we're at. Okay. That's how. Yeah. So I liked when Hurley was that for a couple of scenes. That was really cute. And I also liked, you know, again, I hate time travel, but if we're talking about time travel, I liked that debate about, well, if it's time travel and we know that 2000 and whatever happened, then nothing can happen to me now because it's the 70s. But then the idea that no, every present is the present. So I think that was a fun little bit where it went from them feeling quite safe to them being like, oh no, actually I'm not safe at all. And everything is whatever everything is, circular, and time is a flat circle.
Whatever happened.
How did you react when Saeed pulled out the gun and shot little Ben? Did you think he'd changed everything? What did you think at that point? Because I remember watching that live and going, oh my God, is this really going to happen?
First of all, I was like, once again, Saeed is doing what I'm thinking. Like, once again, Saeed's the man who's like, actually, wouldn't it just make sense to pop this kid, like kill baby Hitler? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I was like, okay, great. So now what happens? Like, does somebody start to disappear in the future? Like, where does this land? What was it, Back to the Future, where he was like playing the guitar? And But then, of course, he lived. You know why? Lost doesn't kill people. I've said it once and I'll say it again. But I did love that sort of reveal where like they took him to Richard, and Richard's like, if we fix him, he's one of ours forever, which you're like, okay, well, we know that happens. That's really cool. So that's the pull that they had over Ben, was like either a literal he's aware of what happened, or some kind of magic island pull, which was cool. So it's like, okay, Saeed, you've actually done the thing that needed to be done.
Yes.
Instead of doing the thing that's the opposite. Yeah. Fuck. I hate time travel.
That's basically the big debate about this entire season. Are they just doing what they were always destined to do, or are they actually changing anything? So
yeah. I can't believe you guys made me watch so much time travel.
There's a pretty strong theory that everything they do here it shapes their future, their destiny, like that they have caused that whatever happened, and these things have happened. Not so much for a reason, but that this is why things, you know, play out the way they do.
Yeah.
I can give you a little summary if it helps. So Locke gives the compass to Richard, and then in turn, Richard is then looking for this man, our leader, right? And the famed John Locke, and we will get to John Locke. Faraday tells the others to bury the bomb. Sawyer takes the rope, which in turn, I guess, makes it an ideal location for somebody else to discover that and perhaps build the little chamber for the donkey wheel.
Okay.
That may not have happened if that had not happened when they zapped all the way back to those very early years.
Okay.
And then Saeed shooting Ben, and then Kate bringing him to the others, which then makes him one of them. Faraday being shot by his own mother explains everything about him and his mother, and the way that she treats him, because she knows that's his destiny, that's going to happen. And then, Jack carrying out the plan to blow up the Swan site is kind of this perhaps misguided attempt to change the future. Because we're kind of left with, I guess your point of view, did the bomb go off or did the bomb not go off?
My point of view as me, a human who lives my life and watches a lot of TV, the bomb went off. My opinion as somebody who's been forced to watch episodes of Lost where nothing ever happens the way I think it is supposed to happen. And every time I think something devastating has destroyed everything, nothing devastating destroyed anything. So I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer.
Oh, well, it's only one episode away from finding out.
Very true.
Yeah, we'll leave that. All right, so look, should we talk about John Locke? and he's just there's that face.
He's just so smug. Okay, so yeah, big reveal on John Locke at the end. So John Locke, first of all, just was fucking smug city for so much of this season. Like even he just walks and he's grinning to himself, like as he just marches on the beach with all these people, like he's a cult leader. But then obviously he meets Joshua.
Jacob.
You know, I nearly said Josiah. I'm like, come on, it's one of those J names. Sorry. So he met Jacob, and then it's clear that he's actually the dude from earlier with the beard, who I don't think I know who that is yet. So we got a lot of Jacob backstory, which I was well into.
Yep.
This storyline interested me so much more. And there was a part where I was watching this Jacob bit, and I was thinking, I actually don't care about what's happening over in Dharmaville. Like it's almost like these are two different shows, and one of them is at the moment much more interesting to me, and the other one is fine, but I feel like it's not the first time I've had this story from that group of people.
Yep.
So you're a bit of a Rose and Bernard, just like we've seen all this before, guys. You're just running around shooting one another.
Absolutely. How's Rose's hair still so good? I'm not an expert on African American hair, but still looked pretty good for being on the beach. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like that was so gorgeous when they came out and they said that. They're like, oh, time and time again, it's the same old bullshit. We're just trying to have a nice little beach, you know, a little vacay. It's kind of like, oh, this drama and like something big's going to happen and we have to have a moral choice and fine. But like that, okay, that's the Lost story paddling its little legs. But this was something very new and very cool and very exciting. This wasn't some dude who's in charge of the island, but he's actually an empty rocking chair. This is like, oh no, this is a real dude who's been here hundreds or thousands or whatever they're trying to say, who's able to catch a perfect little fish and do tapestry, gorgeous tapestry. As somebody who's attempted tapestry, that's A+. So that was really fascinating to me. And the idea that not thousands of years, I just remember what that boat looked like. It wasn't thousands, hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So that is fascinating to me. And then the minute he said you found the loophole, like sometimes I'm a bit ditzy, but I was like, oh, I know exactly that. Like that's referring to that scene that has been wiggled away at the back of my mind because I don't quite understand what it was showing me, but I was interested. So I don't think I'm supposed to know who that other guy is. Am I? Right? Help me out. Oh, you probably don't remember. But yes, that is the thing. That is the thing I am desperate to know. That is the thing that I'm desperate to find out. I think I texted Chris like a couple of nights ago at like 2 a.m. You may not remember I've got it, but it was just another thing where I was like, I don't want to say disliking the show, guys. I don't want to say that, but I was just like plodding through it. Like, okay, here we go. Lost is losting, like, and then every single season, I think I've felt like that until like halfway or 3/4 of the way through the season. Then all of a sudden, it's the best fucking show I have ever watched. And I forget every time. And then I think I texted, I'll have to find it, Chris, if you haven't got it there. I don't think it was very clever because it was about 1 a.m.
So you said to me, oh, hi, I'm the last 3 episodes of any season of Lost. I'm suddenly and unexpectedly very interesting television.
It just, all of a sudden, it just cranks up. I don't remember what I watched when I sent you that, but it's just like, I just feel like it's like the show is fine. Like, I don't want to say I'm not enjoying it, but it's just like, oh, this thing is happening again. And like Kate's Kating and Jack is jacking and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it just throws something at me towards the end of the season that makes me go, okay, right, let's fucking do this.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fair. It is interesting hearing that coming from your eyes because it's very true. The dynamic with, you know, Jack and Kate and Sawyer and never drops. So I think we hang on to that episode of LaFleur because we're just like, just let them be. Like, let them have 3 years of just hanging out and not being bothered. But meanwhile, John Locke has stopped the flashing by moving the donkey wheel. He ends up in Tunisia, but with a broken leg. So he's back in a chair. He's gone around visiting everybody. And this is more of that, like, why were they so haunted by the death of Jeremy Bentham? That you know, the article that Jack had been sort of carrying around and sent him over the edge. Why were they so spooked by that? Ultimately, he fails in his quest to get them all back together. But luckily, Ben is there to Ben to the rescue to stop the man from committing suicide, and then killing him. Right?
That was wild. I didn't expect that. Did not see that coming. And then him meticulously cleaning everything. I was like, again, a practical mind. I was like, he would have had to like heave that dead body back up, whack the electrical cord over the thing, like drama. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever faked someone else's death before, but that looks like a lot of work. So interestingly, at some stage, Ben's like, you all have to go back to the island, including baby Aaron. Then obviously baby Aaron does not go back. Was he just trying to trick them into giving him baby Aaron back? Because he still wants baby Aaron, because he tried to get lawyers to get a paternity or a maternity test for Kate. And then it was just like a really casual thing. He's like, yeah, that was me. I was trying to get Aaron back.
That's classic manipulative Ben.
Yeah.
Just trying to get, like, again, Locke could not do it. Ben did do it. He got everyone back. He's under orders that everybody has to come back. It has to be the same. And so that's how they all end up on flight Ajira 316. And one of my favorite moments is when Jack and Ben are on the plane, and he's got Locke's suicide note, and Ben is just reading a book casually, very casually. They know they're supposed to crash on an island at some point, and he's like, "How can you read at a time like this?" And Ben says, "My mother taught me." Now, we know that Ben's mother died during childbirth, so the man cannot stop lying. He's always got a quip. He's always got something there, and so that's one of my favorite sort of Ben moments. But having them all on the plane, seeing each other step on board and going, "Hang on, what the heck is going on here?" Plus a couple of new faces. Is pretty wild. But then they do end up split apart. Luckily, old mate is there flying the plane, the poor bastard.
He took it with grace, though, when he realized what was going to happen. He was like, let's fucking do this. I'm glad you brought this up, because what they all chose to wear and take on that flight was also fascinating to me. Like, son, why are you wearing a blazer and a mid to low cut top? Like, that is wild. Chris, you know what we'd be wearing? A full rashy sunsuit.
Yeah, full wetsuit.
Absolutely. A big hat with corks on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, but the idea that they're again wearing jeans? Come on, guys. Come on. Like, surely you would be wearing the cargo pants with the cutoff shorts. Like, that pissed me off.
It's like the start of a new Survivor season. Yeah. Yeah. They're all
it was like the start. But the first time around, they didn't know they were going to crash. That's fine. But this time, like, what is your explanation for wearing that? Like, why don't you have a rain?
This is a returnee season of Survivor.
Exactly. Think smarter. Like, why do you not have a pillow with you? Why do you not have a large bottle of water? Like, it's just infuriated me. And it's such a little simple thing that I think that the fans would have enjoyed. Like, the idea they've put some thought into this, but whatever. Obviously, I'm the only one that gives a shit. But
well, to wrap up I guess the John thread is that, you're right. He's got all this confidence now, and he's like, right, we're off to go. You've met Jacob. He said, we're off to go, and we as an audience meet Jacob, and then he's dead. They kill him. Ben kills him.
And Jacob didn't fight back at all.
No.
Was something like he leant into the knife, if anything. So, once again, I guess there's a plan there that the island / Jacob / somebody apart from me understands. But that was it. We got some really cool flashbacks for Jacob as well, like him meeting everybody when they were younger. Some really good casting for the children. Like, you could tell me that was young Sawyer, and I'd be like, absolutely, that was young Sawyer, that no lip bastard. Like, that's totally... and Kate, exactly the same. I thought that was really cool. I think, is that how we found out Hasayya's wife died? Like, that was...
Yeah.
That was... I actually jolted. Like, that was a real, I don't think I'm ever going to find out why they called Locke the Colonel or whatever the fuck they were calling him at work, am I? I'm never going to find out why. he thinks he knows everything about, because he kind of like, based on the storyline, and again, I probably shouldn't be bringing this up. This is probably one of those things we're supposed to pretend didn't happen. But like the whole start of it was like, here's a guy who knows everything about survival. And at work, they called him, I don't remember if it was the colonel or the general, or they called him something.
Mockingly. Yeah. And they would play
no, but he was calling himself like
in their sort of war game, you know, like there's people that play like their Warhammer or army sort of thing. It was just, I think it was just a very nerdy pursuit that him and a friend were into.
Okay.
At probably one of the lowest points of his life, where the Helen relationship was well and truly gone. He's in the chair, and they just like to play their little army games. And I think Randy, his boss, at the box factory, would mock him by saying, "Oh, you're the general, you're the colonel, or whatever he is." And he's like, "Look, it's just a game. Like, just leave, let me be." But I had always seen him as, that guy that would read up on so many things, maybe carry around a little pocket knife or whatever. Probably said, "Oh, I know how to do this, and I knew how to do that," but was never actually put to the test until he was dropped on an island and went, "Okay,
I can kill a boar.
I've got legs now that work. I'm meant to be here. Let's do it. This is let's put it into practice."
I'll allow it.
But then we did get a second sighting of John Locke as his corpse tumbles out of a
So do we think he was dead and then Jacob brought him back to life? Yes. Okay, nodding from the 10. Thank you.
Well.
Or still dead, and then Jacob didn't bring him back to life. That's when the other guy jumped in his body. I don't know. Will I ever find out?
That may be closer to the mark.
Okay, all right. Fascinating. Okay, so maybe I'm going to finish it, and I'll be like, that was never Locke at all, and it's okay that he was a smug, awful, condescending bastard. And then maybe I'll have to rewatch the entire thing.
Yes, that'll be the next season of the podcast. Is Fee is thoroughly up to speed.
He hosts it, and he brings us on.
You guys can come in. Yeah, okay.
I can't let you go without a couple of other little moments that happened this season. Desmond and Penny, 3 years on. That is the appropriate reaction I wanted, Fiona.
Little Charlie.
Yeah, with his little.
Oh, now remind me. So Desmond, who like justice for Desmond in all shapes and form. I just want nothing but good things for that man. Penny, like I could probably give or take, but if she makes him happy, then I'm happy that they're happy. So out of pure revenge, Ben comes to kill Penny because that's justice for Charles killing his daughter. Then Desmond takes a shot and we think he's gone. And then Ben goes to kill Penny. Desmond comes back to life and he tackles Ben. And that's when we know that Ben had turned up to the flight like he was all bashed up, right? So that's what I'll put that together.
Yep.
Then what happened to Desmond?
What did happen to Desmond? I don't think we know what happened to Desmond.
Okay, yeah, because I was like,
I think he's just
dead.
No. There is a scene. I don't want to get ahead of it. We know he's
don't say anything if it might be a spoiler.
But I can't remember which season it sort of happens in. So
maybe
he does get to hospital. We see Widmore and
Eloise.
Yes, Eloise. Yes,
that's right. Eloise and Widmore have a meeting. Old flames.
I know Daniel Faraday's their kid, right? That's I didn't miss that, did I? That's Widmore's kid. Widmore's everywhere. Did we have like 3 iterations of Widmore in this one season? Maybe even 4. Like we just
I think it was
City.
3. I think there was a young one, a middle one, and then standard Allendale Widmore.
Yeah, Allendale with a wig.
Oh, there might be Allendale.
Then there was then there was like an island one, and then there was like an army one.
Yeah, young army one.
Yeah, Widmore City every time. I was like, fuck, it's him again. Yeah, which makes sense, I guess. The whole thing's been about Widmore loving the island, so I'm glad we're getting some resolution on that. Yeah, so I could watch a whole spin-off on Desmond.
You and the rest of the internet who have decided that the Desmond-centric episode is the number 1 episode of Lost of all time. Well, meanwhile, Dan continues to argue against that. Hence the whole point of this podcast.
Well, I'm not far off from being able to listen to your podcast, guys. I'm only 1 season to go, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely pumped. Just quickly, again, I have to get your thoughts on a couple of things. You did text me and said the only benefit of time travel is the return of Handsome Jin. So having... But
then I said, actually, he would have come back anyway. I don't understand how time travel works.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is he back, but the hair is A++.
Yes.
So I went to Korea several years ago, and I said to my older sister who I was with, I was like, the best thing about Korea is Korean men with curls. Like, it's rare or it's permed, but either way, there's something about it that hits. And then out comes Jin, Dreamboat. He's so handsome. Daniel,
Yes.
what's his name? Daniel
Day Kim.
Yeah.
He was actually a sexiest man alive for one of the magazines at one point.
Oh, not enough. Not enough. He's absolutely stunning. Really stunning. Yeah.
Would go on to the revamped Hawaii Five-0 series. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So Hurley trying to write Star Wars, fun. Juliet holding baby Ethan at one point, creepy.
Yeah, so creepy.
Yeah, and then just like characters like Horace, Phil, and then even Rositsky. We got to meet the famous Rositsky, the guy that had designed the Swan and ultimately farewelled himself inside the Swan. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the sort of extra characters they were able to bring into the sort of Dharmaverse.
And there were a lot of moments where I'm like, I'm sure this is supposed to ring a bell. Like, I'm sure this is a little nod that I'm supposed to be getting, or a little pat on the back to the fans that I'm supposed to be getting for all those people who in the early 2000s, you know, had their whiteboards up and like tracking all these sorts of things. Which is not to say I'm not dissing them in any way. Like, I feel like I missed things. I feel like, you know, like when you're watching an Avengers movie and like, okay, Chris and I used to go watch Avengers movies, and then sometimes things would happen and I'd see him enjoying it more than me. And then later he would be like, oh, that's because of this and that ducks from that or whatever. And I loved that. And I felt like it was gorgeous that he would share that stuff with me. And I think that the fact that I'm sure they're doing this in Lost all the time in honor of those fans who just love and worship the show, I think is so incredible and so beautiful. And one day, maybe in 20 years, if I rewatch the show, I hope that my fancy is tickled by all of those things that I think, the speed that I'm watching the show and all that sort of stuff, I'm probably missing some of that, but I'm sure it's there and I love it. Yeah,
well, there was definitely when you were watching it live, like there was definitely like this massive online community. We're all trying to solve the puzzles. It was like, what's happening next? It was like that was most of the fun of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I can imagine. I would have absolutely adored that. Absolutely, that would have been right up my alley had I not have sworn off the show because it pissed me off so much.
Well, I guess we should ask you: Are you in for the final season?
In for a penny, in for a pound. You know what they say? Like. Absolutely, as usual, amazing last few episodes, amazing hook, amazing cliffhanger, and only one season to go is pretty incredible. Like the fact that the thing that put me off this show was opening too many doors and not even knowing if they're going to be closed, and to see so many things starting to get tied up and so many things that I'm like, that was so vague and so bullshit, and why are they doing this to me, to then see them give me enough to move forward has been really fun and really satisfying. Nobody, like, how many shows end in a way that makes everybody happy? It's so hard to do. And I say that as somebody who really enjoyed the end of Game of Thrones. So, but so that makes me nervous. The ending of any big show is nerve-wracking, and they can't possibly tie everything up, but I'm excited to see where it lands. And like I said, this Jacob thing, it really got me. I'm really interested. So I really want to see how, you know, who is his mate, who's inside Lock, and what does that mean, and where do we go? So yes, if you had have asked me halfway through the season, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'm finishing this. Fuck you guys. Fuck you and your time travel. But now I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Awesome. Well, we will. We'll let you go, and the next time we chat, you will have finished the show.
Maybe
done it.
Yeah, we might still be friends. We might not. We will find out. We'll end. We'll say goodbye on that cliffhanger.
Yeah, if you ever make me watch something with time travel again, we could be in strife.
So now we come to our number threes. Does this episode make your top 10?
It does not. And unlike the season 1 finale last week, where I started having a panic attack about my top 10, this one's knocking on the door, but I'm not ready to tear up my list.
Yeah.
Dan, I'm nervous because I feel like in my head, I feel like you've probably, I think I know 3 episodes that you've said, yeah, that's in my top 10. And now it's just about where they fall.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you'd like to go first or whether you'd like me to go first in revealing our number 3.
I don't mind. I will tell you that this one is not in my top 10. So, as you've probably ascertained, I think it's the weakest of the finales.
Okay.
Of all of them. If I had to rank them all, this one would probably come in at the bottom. So, definitely not in my top 10. I'm happy to say mine because you're right. It is one that that we've already talked about, which I mentioned, and my number 3 is The Incident.
Okay.
So I don't have anything else to add really to what I said in the 3rd episode, which is where we talked about The Incident, the season 5 finale.
Yep.
So you can go back and listen to that one. But yes, The Incident is my number 3.
Yes, I think we've covered the happenings of and the confusion of season 5 to pretty great detail. I think that's a great shout. Again, another one knocking on the door of my own personal top 10. So yeah, that would leave me to reveal my number 3.
Yeah,
It is
what is your number 3?
We have not talked about. It is Lockdown. So
okay,
yep, from season 2. This for me is just so important in the story of John Locke. And that is what I love about this show. At the end of the day, that narrative of him and his journey, it's just soul crushing. Like this flashback, he is at his absolute, like, he's at the happiest he's ever been, right? At this point in time. He's got his own business. He started. He's with Helen.
Yep, and
he's about to.
Is this the one where he's like, like a handyman essentially, isn't he? Or is he selling something? I can't remember exactly what he's doing.
No. He's he helps. Oh, I don't even know the term for it now, but basically, he goes over before you buy the house.
Yeah,
he goes over everything. He's like an inspector.
Yeah.
But his name is on the business. It's his. He helps Nadia, and then he's got the engagement ring. He's going to go on a picnic with Helen. Everything is going. Everything is finally coming up. John Locke.
Yep. Lock up.
Until that's right. Until one day she reads the obits and sees that that Anthony Cooper has died.
Yes.
So when you couple that, like, and then we know where that heads, right? And then you're in the hatch with Henry Gale, and he finally makes the leap to trust Henry.
Yep.
And it backfires on him. He makes this, he's vulnerable, but he believes and he makes this decision. And by the end of the episode, Jack has burst through the door and said, nope, that man is not who he says it is. Who says he is, and he's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's, so it's, for me, it's just this, it hits really hard in an emotional way. Every time I watch John, his father, turn up and talk about the money, I'm like, don't do it, John.
And he always does it.
He always does it. Yeah. So if you'll indulge me, he does. Yeah. There's one final. Well, I guess it's not really a con from his dad, because while he did fake his own death, he really does have some mean dudes coming after him.
Yep.
Yeah. They also attend the funeral. It's just the two of them. And I always find this fascinating in movies and TV shows. If those two had not turned up,
do they go through it?
Yeah. Does the guy with the umbrella and everyone still, and then lower the coffin and all of that?
They probably do it at like 1.5 speed.
Yeah. They just
Get
a bit faster. So, he tries to, he's telling himself that he's just going to help his dad this one time. The money will be for Helen and he'll finally have it all. But we all know that is not why he's doing it. And when Helen turns up at the motel, my stomach drops. She says, you've made your choice. You chose his love over mine.
Yeah.
And then he's desperately trying to propose to her. It's pathetic and it's sad. And that is the John Locke that we will ultimately end up with. But yeah, he's in the hatch with Henry Gale. They're off trying to quantify whether the balloon story checks out, and there's just some of the best Henry Ben lines for me when they're at the little breakfast bar and he turns to Locke and he says, "Why do you let him talk to you like that?"
Yeah, I know. He's
About
just
Jack.
toying with him.
Yeah. And then when we get the lockdown, he even shouts, "Maybe you should go and get Jack." Of course, Jack isn't there at that time. It's just Locke and Henry. Um, but Ben has been working on Locke. He knows who he is. He's got the files.
Yep.
He knows he's special. He knows his backstory. And I think that Ben knows that these lockdowns happen, but this is not part of the plan. So he is also thinking on his feet.
Yeah.
And uses it as an opportunity. So when Locke releases Ben, he believes him and he gives him his word. Locke's leg gets crushed. And then Locke is trying to tell him, okay, I trusted you. You need to trust me. And he tells him what you need to do with the button, which is fascinating because Ben knows what to do with the button.
Yeah.
Ben knows all about the button. He's like, I don't need to trust you. And then when he goes to climb up through the ceiling vents and he takes a spill, I'm pretty sure it's deliberate, just to draw time and just
toy
to
with Locke's mind, make him freak out
with him. Yeah. And then he puts in the numbers not before Locke sees the map, which is a huge sort of moment in all the lore and everything. The doors lift up and there's this great moment where he's like, well, I guess if Henry's going to cut and run, this is his opportunity. But he comes back.
Yeah.
Because Ben can't do that. He can't escape. It's not going to work that way. Plus, he's got Michael cooking away as well. And so Locke is so relieved to see him. Like, you came back. Thank you for not leaving me. Right. And with the story with Helen, it fucks you up. So then Ben lies to Locke and tells him that he never entered the numbers.
Yeah. Just to
fuck with him.
Yeah.
He will torture this man for the next 2 seasons. And then Jack bursts through the door because they've checked the ID of Henry Gale. And then Locke's like, it's okay. I let him out. And he's like, no, it's not okay.
Yeah.
That's
Locke
not
was
Henry
wrong
Gale.
again.
Exactly. And then you get that smirk from Michael Emerson.
Yeah.
This is one of my all-time favorites from the second season. Yeah, from the whole thing. It does have a really kind of naff thing with Jack and Sawyer playing poker, but I think that's what I like as well. There's a bit of hangout sort of stuff going on. It's good to know we can kind of still hang out with, like there was a mandate back then. It's like, yeah, but what's Jack, Sawyer, Kate, and Hurley up to? They've got to be doing something, right? Oh, maybe they're playing poker. But obviously that was all about.
And Jax, of course, is the best at poker.
He's the best. He's the best. You know, he couldn't just walk back to that incredibly serious situation happening at the hatch. Yeah. He had to sit down and play poker and get one up on Sawyer, which in the end, the reveal is that, you know, he sort of gets one over on him and he's like, I'll get the guns when I want the guns.
Yeah.
And finally, Sawyer referring to Hurley as Mongo at one point was just sort of a little sweet spot for me, a little blazing saddles there for the fans. So yeah, sorry, I absolutely love that.
It's a great choice. It's a great episode. Some of that the Ben and Locke stuff when Ben's locked up in the hatch. That's one of the great stretches of Lost. There's a few great stretches of Lost, but that's definitely one of them.
And the reveal at the end when he walks out onto the deck, you know, and they've got them all captured, and they're like, oh fuck, there he is. So that's my number 3, and that means that all we've got to go now is number 2 on the list. Yep. Which is,
so we know the number 1 is The Constant, of course.
Yes. So of course, number 2 would be Through the Looking Glass, parts 1 and 2, the season 3 finale.
I will have a lot to say about this one.
Okay. I'm sure it's all hate and
well, you'll have to tune in next week to find out.
That's right. Yep. No, I can't wait to talk about that episode and also reveal our number 2s. Thank you for listening to Lost Within Lost. If you have any feedback on anything you've heard in this episode, or even if you just want to share some of your own favourite Lost memories, you can send us a note via email or pneumatic tube, if that happens to be working. Just send it to lostwithinlostpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on the socials, both Twitter or X, whatever you prefer. Also on Blue Sky, at Lost Within Lost. Come and say hello, and thanks for listening.